That night, at the beginning of the journey, he simply watched her descend against the shining moon. The girl said that she came to repay him. The man said that he shouldn't have been so greedy and gone so far into the mountains. The hero asked if he was okay. The man howled that the bear was behind the guy. He jumped over it without falling into its clutches. The man was glad that the boy was there and asked who he was. The hero said he thought so. The bear was wounded. The stranger said that thanks to the hero he got off with just a scratch. The animal had internal injuries and broken ribs in the lungs which caused it to go berserk. The man asks him what he is doing. The stranger calls the bear a servant of the demon lord and an enemy of all mankind. The protagonist replied that he was indeed a monster, but was now his patient. The guy used his sword skill and found something. He apologized to the animal for his rudeness and decided to leave the rest to heal itself. The man shouted that he would be killed. The guy asked the animal if everything was okay, and then he said that he understood everything. He asked the man if he had any bear eggs. The stranger began to deny it. The main character said that it was a rare bear with eggs, and he was angry at him for taking his cubs. The man asked if that was why he had come for him, even though he was wounded. The boy replied that he did not know. The stranger told the hero that he had guessed that he had stolen his eggs. The guy replied that they had feelings too. He said that if you listen carefully, you can hear the quiet voice of animals. Now he needs to get around the area, so he'll give him a ride to the base. The man said that the hero has very great strength and healing arts along with an understanding of monsters. The guy said his name was Zeke Veterinarian, and he was a veterinarian. The hero used the recovery skill. Now the cow looked healthy. The owners thanked him and said that they were now in his debt. The girl asked what kind of light it was. The man replied that it was a hero's skill, and that meant he was a very special person. She asked if she would have the same skills. The man said he had already told her that she could not do what he did. The main character said that it doesn't matter whether she has the skill or not. The main thing is her desire to help. He was asked not to be modest as he was a great specialist and perhaps even surpassed his father. The guy said that he was not even close to him. His father was much better. The hero said that his father had died a long time ago. The girl apologized to him. The guy said that everything was fine because it was a long time ago. Zeke turned to him and said that since he had saved the cow, he was now worried about something completely different. The stable is well ventilated and that large load is blocking the air supply, so the place needs to be cleaned more often. And the body in the far corner is even more hunched and haggard than it was last time. He thinks it should be moved somewhere else. The protagonist asked how the feed was distributed. He thought they had added too much concentrate. The animals were slow and breathing heavily. They were obviously overweight. Each of them had their own orders from above. He was sure they wanted the animals to get fatter, but he thought they didn't want to put the family in trouble. The man said he was absolutely right. He had received the order in the last month and had not had time to carry it out. At this time, someone called the hero. He said he was at the East Ranch doing a routine inspection. The man started yelling at him and said that all this could be done in 30 minutes. The guy said that it was true, but it took too much effort. The man said that the hero was always making excuses, and he didn't understand what the point of wasting time on them was if they were going to be slaughtered for meat anyway. In any case, he asked him to come back quickly. The guy agreed. The girl noticed that it was very difficult for the hero to work. He said that he had already gotten used to this. The man said it was terrible because they all knew how hard he worked, but these rich people and aristocrats didn't seem to care. The hero wasn't surprised that they were so careless about animals. The owner said that under the new king, the livestock industry in the country had declined and they only had one vet left. They were lucky to have a hero, but he wished they would go and take their talent elsewhere, because being there was a waste of time. The main character said that he couldn't just leave everyone. The man said that even if he said that, he should think about himself too. The guy said he was glad to hear it. He said that now that the minister was furious, he had better leave there. He would be back, so he asked to take care of everyone. Zeke suggested to his dragon that they go home. The animal went berserk, and the guy didn't understand what was wrong with it. The hero saw that the dragon heard his call, and he thanked him. He thought about leaving the country and going for a better prospect, but he can't leave people like them. If you think about it, where he wasn't so bad. The main character asked the dragon what happened. Suddenly, they started going down. The guy asked him to wait because the capital was in another country. Zeke saw something lying on the ground and thought it was a dog. She was wounded. He thanked the dragon for paying attention to her. The animal had cuts and bruises, but nothing serious. The hero used the medical examination skill. The dog's blood contained toxins, and the boy concluded that it had been attacked by ogres. He said that she would be okay because he was a doctor. The hero used the dosing skill. Zeke said they would just give her an injection and she would feel better right away. He asked her not to move. The guy thought the dog had well-groomed and soft fur. It didn't look wild, but he was surprised it stayed in such a place. The ogres appeared, and the boy realized that they were hunting the dog. He asked why they were chasing her when they weren't even going to eat her. The ogres started attacking him, and the guy didn't realize that they weren't listening to him. The hero began to attack back. He said he didn't want to hurt them if he could help it. However, they still started attacking him, and he decided that he would fight back. The main character used the paralysis skill. Then he used the sleep skill. These were two medical skills, but they were very useful for situations like this. Now the puppy was safe. He began to thank him. Suddenly she disappeared from his hands. The guy thought it was a monster, and he thought he was saying something. He said that she seemed to be getting better already, so he thought the details weren't important, and he suggested that his dragon go home. The king told him that he was dismissed. The guy was very surprised. He started asking the reason for his dismissal. The king said that the prime minister had reported to him that he had incurred enormous expenses, far exceeding his needs. The man said that everything was exactly like that. Livestock are nothing more than animals that are bred and then eaten. Anyone who spends money only on medical care for such animals brings only harm and no benefit. The Prime Minister said that the hero justifies himself by health and ecology. If the animals die, then a few cubs will be enough. If they get rid of him, they will cut down on unnecessary expenses. They will be able to invest in the future of the kingdom. The king asked the boy if he had anything to say. The hero asked that if so, he humbly asks for forgiveness. He said that firstly, livestock farming is not as simple as the minister says. Without proper management, productivity will not be stable, otherwise it will all come to naught due to the spread of diseases. He is also responsible for managing the monster units used by the national army. Special methods are needed to suppress the inherent ferocity of the Hexen beasts, without which the country will suffer human casualties and irreparable material damage. The king said that he might not be aware of it, but a useful magical tool had recently been invented. The minister said that it was a training tool. Just by wearing it, you can make pets and magical beasts obey your will. The guy said that they were treating animals like objects by using such an object. If they continue to trample on their feelings and dignity, then one day a catastrophe is inevitable. The prime minister began to ridicule the protagonist. The king called the boy's words foolish. He said he deserved to be punished for all the harm he had done to the country, as well as for his many false claims to competence. But he recognized his work, so he would treat him with the leniency he deserved. The king ordered the deportation of the main character. The boy thought he had done everything he could to replace his father. But the world went crazy when a new king took the throne. The dragon tried to console him, and the boy noticed this attempt. Animals are not things that can be thrown away. They are creatures with feelings and hearts that encourage their friends in difficult times. The hero said that victory was his. He said it looked very beautiful. The girl said that she missed him and that she owed him. The girl introduced herself and said that her name was Tiffany. She asked to call her name by its abbreviation. The guy invited her to come into the house. He asked if she was the puppy he had rescued. The girl confirmed it. The hero said that because of her ears and tail, she looked like a monster. The guy said he was saving an ordinary puppy, not a girl like her. The girl turned into a puppy and asked if he believed her now. He said he had never heard of such a kind of monster that could turn into a human. Tiffany said she was not a monster. She asked him if he knew about the monster gods. The guy answered negatively. The girl said that this is a monster that has existed since ancient times and is equal to the gods, and the one who rules them is called the Divine Beast King. And she is the daughter of the Divine Beast King. She came to invite him. Narugma is a land of water, greenery, and beasts ruled by a Divine Beast King. Their land needs his loving hand, which he extended to an unknown monster he found along the way. The guy said he couldn't do much. However, if she asks him for help, he will provide it. He was just deported, so her offer is just in time. He said to wait for him at home. The guy's body began to glow. The girl said that the contract was concluded. He who made a pact with the divine beast will release his hidden power and gain even more power. She said that if he had any questions, he could ask. The guy said it was time to get ready. The girl lay down on his bed. She asked if he wanted her to sleep with him. The hero said that he would miss it, but he could no longer stay in that country. The man said that everything would be fine with them, but the guy should take care of himself. He noted that the guy had good companions, so there was no need to worry. The hero suggested starting to move forward. He asked the girl if she said anything. The protagonist said that he heard another voice, but he forgot about it, and they set off on their journey. He said the journey would take 5 days. It was a long journey. The girl suggested making the trip fun. The guy asked why the dragon was in a bad mood. They saw a wounded harpy. It was a ferocious A-rank monster, and it was unclear how it got there. There have been a lot of wounded monsters lately. The guy approached the harpy to examine her. He used the sleep skill. The girl asked why he was treating her. He replied that it was because he was a doctor. Besides, the monsters only went crazy because of the demon's curse. It's not their fault. The girl said that this was the guy she had always known and admired. If so, the harpy would be smitten. The guy asked her not to talk nonsense. He said that monsters were cursed and not easy to tame. However, he took care of them in the kingdom. It was a long process, and it took a long time to remove the curse. The girl said that he easily dealt with a high-ranking monster. The guy said that he didn't even remember having such strength. His strength increased so much because of the contract he made. The boy's abilities have developed to such a level that he can understand the language of harpies. It was part of the deal. The girl said that it was all thanks to his talents. They both surrounded the guy and said they liked him. The girl said that she was so much in love with him, but he didn't even notice it. The guy said that it was a misunderstanding. He realized that she was a monster after all. He never thought that the day would come when he would be able to talk to a dragon like that. They have already arrived. The guy asked not to talk nonsense because they still have a few days to go. The girl said that they were quick on their feet and made it on time. The gates opened and the creatures within greeted the divine beast. Tiffany said she was back. People started asking her what was going on in the outside world. The guy thought that he had doubts before, but now he believed that she was a princess. The girl said that she had reaped a great harvest in the outside world. She brought a human doctor. He introduced himself and said he was glad to meet you. They began to talk about him as the benefactor that the divine beast had spoken of. No one had seen him before. The guy asked if he said something wrong. Tiffany said it was okay, they were just a little confused and not used to people. He read that once upon a time the beastmen were chased by humans and ended up in a dense forest, so he is not surprised by their reaction. One of the knights showed the way to the girl. She said that she apologized in advance for such a reaction. The protagonist replied that it was a natural reaction to a stranger. A little girl approached them and said that she had some tasty apples and offered one. The princess asked if she could have some. The guy said it looked delicious. She said they had a lot and their store was that way. The guy told me to run so fast. The main character said that he apologized by using the sleep skill. He asked Typhus if she was okay. The girl thanked him. The servants began to ask if the princess was hurt. She replied that she was fine. The knight asked why he tried to crush the divine beast. He said to take the hero to the castle. He and his horse must be prepared to suffer the highest punishment. The main character saw that the horse's hoof was stretched and inflamed. He asked if his hooves were trimmed regularly. Walking on cobblestones in such a state was like stepping barefoot on shards of glass. The guy used the creation skill. He said he had given him one help, he would be fine all the way home, so just take good care of the horse. The man said he would be careful. The protagonist said that it was not intentional anyway, so he asked to reduce his anger and change to mercy. The girl said that she was sure that he would not allow such a thing to happen again. The girl said she shouldn't have jumped out so suddenly, and she apologized. Everyone started thanking the main character. The boy said he couldn't thank him enough for saving his horse and himself. The knight said he was in shock too and was grateful for resolving the situation. The girl said she was pleased to hear that they approved of Zeke. Tiffany hoped that they would get to know each other better and become friends. The girl said that he was an important guest, so she asked him to be treated politely. She said she left one of the guest rooms empty, so he shouldn't feel shy. The maid said that if he needed anything, he could ask her. The guy started discussing with the dragon that Tiffany being a princess became something exciting. He said that events had taken him by surprise. Suddenly everything was becoming very serious. If the princess approved of him, what would the rest of her family think? The hero said that he was terrible at everything except medicine. The dragon said that the main character is experienced and caring. He will be welcomed everywhere. She did not like that dog, but she also saw what the dragon himself sees. The guy said he was glad she thought so and was happy he was able to talk to her. It was called interracial friendship. He said again that he was glad he had it. The hero heard cries for help. He used the detection skill. 2 rooms later, 2 men climbed through a window with a large bag. The guy asked if they were kidnappers. They asked him who he was because they used the stealth skill. The hero said that he found them with his tracking skill. The bandits were surprised by his strong skill. The guy said it was just a medical skill. They realized that this was their bone with the monster. The main character said that if they wanted to ask the girl out on a date, they should come up with something less extreme. That would only scare her away. The bandit started to attack the hero, and he used the paralysis skill. The guy said that there was no need to tell the bandit anything and asked him to just let the girl go and they would talk about the rest later. He asked if she was hurt. The protagonist stood in front of the kidnapper and said that now he would look at his face. He had a high skill with a limited number of users. It's not something a petty thief can use. The guy asked the girl again if she was okay. She thanked him, calling him by name. He asked how she knew his name. The girl said that she was his employer. She said that she was the divine queen of beasts and thanked him for saving her life. The girl told him that he was accepted. She introduced herself and said that she was the divine queen of the beasts, Sophia. The guy introduced himself in response and apologized for being so rude. Sophia said that he shouldn't speak so formally. The girl said that they are almost friends. The queen said she had much to discuss, but this time she would be brief. She wanted him to serve her country as the chief physician to the court. He was surprised by such a high position. The chief physician is the head of the medical department, but he has just arrived to them. The servant asked the master to wait, as the queen was at an audience. A stranger entered and apologized for interrupting the queen. He was the greatest of doctors, namely the chief doctor. He said that as the current and chief physician of the court, he could not simply ignore the situation. Even if it was the princess's opinion, giving an important post to a stranger who had just arrived was simply madness. He was told that he was being rude. The queen said that his words had some merit, so they would consider him for the position of his assistant. Zoroa turned to the queen and said that he did not think such a person could hold such an important position, no matter who supported him. In fact, he could be a spy from another country. The man talked about his build and center of gravity. The guy asked to look at his right hand. The man didn't understand why he had to show it. The boy said he was wounded and wanted to see it. The man refused and said that he was the head doctor and could take care of himself. The guy said it was exactly the same cut he gave the bandit last night with a scalpel. The knights began to ask what bandits he was talking about. The queen said that she kept silent about it so as not to cause confusion. She said that there was a bandit in her bedroom last night. She was in danger, but the main character saved her. The knights asked the boy if Zoroa was a bandit. The man said that a similar scar does not prove anything. The guy said that's why he wanted to know. He used the check skill. He asked the man to take some of his blood, because the blood on the scalpel might match his. The knights were surprised that he wanted to test someone else's blood. The hero said that formalities are useless when it comes to bad guys. The girl said she was proud of him. He came to the castle and immediately exposed the bad guys. He apologized to the queen. The main character saw the court doctors of the whole country. There were many of them. They were responsible for the medical care of the people as well as the livestock. A guy approached the hero and said that he should lead them and asked him to introduce himself. He introduced himself and said that he was the new chief physician of the yard. The hero said that perhaps some of them don't like that he is an outsider, but he will try his best to fit in with the team. If they have any problems, he asks them to let him know, and then he will try to help. He thought that this pathetic greeting needed to be thought up with something more clever, but yesterday he had not had time for that. Everyone began to greet him with joy. He was surprised by the hospitality. They had already heard of his exploits. How he saved the princess and the divine queen of beasts. Everyone knows what happened in the city. His predecessor was the same. The heroes asked him not to worry about anything. They will do everything possible to support him. The guy started to speak, but he was interrupted by a man who entered the door. A whole flock of demonic monsters was heading towards them. It was a huge crowd of dragons. The hero asked them why they had come. They heard that he had left, so they looked for him. The dragon said that he did not want to work without his brother. The boy was surprised that they could also speak and realized that his ability was developing. He looked after these dragons in his homeland. He asked to take them under his wing. They are excellent flying dragons for riding, and he is sure they will be useful for air travel. The beastmen said that it was wonderful, and they agreed. Meanwhile, the former country of the protagonist, the king laughed loudly. He asked the minister about his new crown. He answered that with such brilliance the king would be known in all corners of the earth. The king said it was much more profitable than spending money on animals. He was sure that when people saw her, they would be delighted. It was already late, they had to go. The king asked if the flying dragon was ready. However, there was not a single flying dragon. Since early morning, the knights had been looking for them everywhere. The king said that if there were no flying dragons, they could not go to the meeting. He had no choice but to take the horses and carriage. However, there were no horses either. As soon as the main character left, no one fed the horses and stopped looking after them. In this condition, it is impossible to harness them to a carriage and saddle them. The minister said that in that case they had no choice but to simply take a carriage. The king was outraged that he had to be like a servant. The minister said he would think of something. The man said he didn't care and they had to go. He apologized to the men for being late. The king said he had problems. He was told that they had already discussed most of the agenda. They said that they would write about him at the end of the minutes. The dragon was happy about the new house. The guy said that Sophia gave them an empty house. It looked big so they could fit in it. The guy said he contacted Mint. The hero said that he wrote her a letter and sent it by owl. No matter how much she hates him, she is his sister and should at least know what's wrong with him. The guy decided to start with cleaning. The girl had a feeling that she was in trouble. She turned to her brother and asked him to wait a little, because she would come to him soon. The king said that he was humiliated in this way and lost face. He blamed the main character for everything. The minister asked him to calm down. The king also blamed the ministers for not making a good proposal. He was told that the girl wanted to meet him. That was what the minister had said. She was a genius they had hired as a court magician. She is only 15 years old and she has already graduated from the Academy of Magic with honors. This is a talent that appears once in a century. It was surprising that such a prominent personality would apply to participate in an open competition. The king said it was because of his popularity. Now other countries would surely pay attention to their country. The king said that the girl came almost to him even before she officially received the position, and he liked it. The girl said that he would have to do it himself. The prime minister asked what she meant. The girl told him not to dare touch, because the only one who is allowed to do that is her brother. She said that the guy they kicked out of the country was the one who took care of the animals. The girl just wanted to work in the same place as her brother. If he is not there, then she has nothing to do there. The king said that for the sake of his country's prestige, they needed help. The girl turned to her brother again and said that they would see each other soon. She saw the barrier. The girl asked the knight to let her pass. She said that she really wanted to see her brother. The girl used absolute zero magic, but the main character stopped her. She said that she missed him very much. He asked what she was doing there since she was still studying. The girl said that she had already finished school. She said that she had just quit her job as a court magician. The protagonist asked why she did it. He went all the way to get her a prestigious job. She said that all she needed was him. The hero asked if the girl's character had changed. The dragon said that her character changed when she became old enough. Before that, there was just childish innocence. The hero said that he thought she hated him. The girl apologized for not telling him earlier. When he left the country, she realized that if she was not honest, she might not be understood for the rest of her life. The guy said that he loved her too. The girl was happy about it. The dragon said that the guy was in love with her. The sister said that the main character was in love with her. The guy said that he had to go home anyway and apologized for disturbing him. He asked his sister if she wanted to visit him. She replied that she would be a guest in that country. The hero said that he was glad that Sophia agreed, and he turned to the girl, saying that she did not have to live in his house. She replied that brother and sister live under one roof and there is nothing strange about it. He replied that now she is an independent person. Suddenly, the magical light went out and the girl assumed that the magic was over. The entities in front of them were not monsters. Sister said that this was a shadow puppet skill. They were not affected by physical attacks, sleep, paralysis. He was asked what he had done. His shadow doll was immune to blows and magic. The main character said that he simply sewed it up using sewing thread. The stranger said that he could create an infinite number of shadow puppets and he would fill the room with them and destroy them. The guy used paralysis. The man asked how the hero recognized him, since his telepathic speech was well disguised. The hero said that if he was going to hide in a doll, he had to hide his heartbeat too. The guy was thinking about who this man was, and the girl said that he would confess soon. She used brainwashing skill. Now he was her humble servant, and he would answer any questions without any lies. The girl asked why he attacked her brother. The man replied that the king and the prime minister had ordered the protagonist to be killed. These were the very ones who drove him out of the country. Banishment is one thing, but murder is another. He didn't understand what he had done wrong. The king asked if they could get the girl back. The prime minister said it was unlikely, maybe, considering how they treated the main character. The minister began to say that he did not take the main character into account, but they would have to make some concessions in order to return the magician. All they need to do is show that they are willing to take them back. The king suggested that at the first opportunity they would hire assassins and kill the boy. The minister said that the king was thinking negatively. The man said that he had just sent an assassin and that it was not a bad idea. The minister said the killer was already there when they expelled the boy. The girl said that she understood that the one they sent, despite all efforts, failed. The king began to say that it was a mistake. The man said that they were worried about her and the main character. The girl said that she knew they were incorrigible and that they would pay for what they did to her brother. They tried to talk her out of giving them punishment, but she used the skill absolute zero. The girl said that for her brother's sake she would not take their lives, but if they came for him again, it would be the end for them. The king said that he was tired of everything. At that time, the boy said that he really enjoyed taking a bath. It was an open-air sauna he built as a hobby. Even though his schedule isn't as busy as before, he still gets tired. His sister said the water is divine. The girl said that she was also going to take a bath. A dragon and another girl approached the main character and saw that the guy was taking a bath. The ice still hadn't melted. The knight said they had attracted all the mages, but it wasn't easy when it came to magic of such a high level. The minister said he didn't need any excuses, and in any case they should be done by the end of the week. They were lucky there were no casualties, but the surrounding properties were badly damaged. He fears they will have to draw up a special budget. The king began to curse everyone. The minister said he had an estimate for the renovation of the castle and its surroundings. The king said that he had to teach the main character a good lesson because he was already sick. He said he was watching the castle, it was the prime minister's job, and he had to do something about it. The man asked not to talk to him until tomorrow and to prepare 10 days to finish off the main character. The knight said the owl was too cold to fly and they lost contact with all the other stations. All the salamander guards went into hibernation at once, and the gatekeeper monster was throwing a tantrum because of the cold. The hill in front of the main gate is slippery to climb. A water pipe has burst. The boy sat next to the girl and said that they needed to see how the cold would go away overnight. He said that he would be back tomorrow. The main character said that he was thinking about giving the girl a vaccination and asked to prepare it. The girl thanked him. He had finished his work for the day. He was told that he had done it well and now they had a date together. The dragon said that the girl had become too attached to him and suggested throwing her off. The guy was having fun at his usual pace. Compared to the last time, it was calm. The girl asked if he was dead, and the guy introduced himself and said that he didn't know any elves. The creature was surprised that he could hear his voice. The boy replied that it sounded strange. The dragon said he was surprised because it was the first time since birth that he saw a person who could talk to them. The guy said they would talk about it later because he had received deep wounds. The monster asked if a man could heal a dragon. The hero replied that it was because even a dragon in a similar situation needs to be helped. The monster confirmed this and said that it would take time for him to regenerate. The guy said that he was a doctor and the dragon was wounded, so he didn't need any more reasons to help him. He decided to start the treatment and said that there should be a stream nearby. A man appeared in front of him and said that the diamond dragon was prey. The hero asked Tiffany to collect leaves from the trees, as many as possible. The man asked her not to ignore him. The guy said that if he was just relaxing there, he should leave and not interfere with him healing the dragon. The stranger said that it was not right to treat a dragon slayer like that. He said that the hero deserved to die. The dragon told the hero to run because the stranger's arrows pierced even his diamond scales. The man wondered who the main character was. The guy replied that he was a veterinarian and said that he would treat the dragon. The stranger said he was lying. The man said that he would not see anything through his arrows. The dragon was worried about the hero's safety and told him to run. The stranger said that he remembered the face and name of the main character. He used transfer magic and it wasn't such a simple spell. The guy said that when it comes to troublemakers, he quickly deals with them without a twinge of conscience. Now he was about to begin the treatment and asked the dragon to lie still. The girl asked how the treatment was going. The guy replied that he was just looking at what could be done. He thought that once the superficial wounds were treated, the dragon's healing abilities would take care of the rest. Even if he uses his skills, the healing will be extremely slow. The bandit must have mixed some kind of magic into his arrows. The dragon said that he had known many dragon slayers but had never seen one try to heal. The hero asked him to be quiet and told him to leave the work to the doctors. The dragon said that he was trying to heal him with human powers, but it was not enough. He suggested that he do something else. The guy said that he is always honest with his patients and apologized for the fact that this is all he can do. The dragon said that he needed sacred energy and it should be enough to strengthen the magic. The protagonist said that this was the first time he heard about sacred energy. This is powerful magic. The dragon asked if he could use his healing magic. The boy replied that it was easier said than done. The dragon asked if he had mastered such magic before. The hero said that his skill was to help patients heal themselves. Healing magic is something else entirely. It puts the providence to sleep and returns them to normal life, and he didn't even understand what his sister was telling him. The dragon said he could heal because he had a powerful energy bubbling inside him. This is not a coincidence, but his path, the accumulation of many healings. The hero asked how he knew so much. The dragon replied that it was from his spirit and hands. The guy said that in that case, he should check all his savings. The dragon was surprised and said that although they were absolutely perfect, they had tightened too early. Dragon Healer unique skill Hand of God evolves into a doctor of hundreds of beasts. The guy said that the girl sometimes acts scary. He said he was glad the dragon was okay. The monster thanked him for saving him and giving him strength. The hero said he just did what he had to. The guy said that he doesn't know what happened next and only remembers that the elf ran away and he treated the diamond dragon. The girl said that the country was dangerous not only for Tiffany, and so they would have to cover them in ice. The guy said that she had misunderstood everything and he didn't even remember the horned girl. The dragon took on human form as a result of its evolutionary power. The guy said that the girl was talking about something like that. Monster evolution is a phenomenon where a monster evolves to a higher level by hunting other strong monsters. As far as the guy knew, his dragon did not eat monsters. The girl said that monsters like them consume energy through food, or rather, they consume the magical power of the target. In other words, when a large magical power enters the body, natural evolution can occur. This means that the boy's magical power causes evolution. The hero asked why he had such magical power. The girl replied that it was because of the contract with Tiffany. By making a pact with the divine beast, he gains divine energy, and yesterday's encounter with the dragon strengthened it even more. The clan can use the power of the monsters dependent on it as their own. With the power of a god and the power of a dragon, the boy went through a kind of existential evolution. It is only natural that they too have undergone changes under the influence. Simply put, he became the strongest user of healing magic, endowed with the power of a god. Healing magic is a miraculous power that heals everything. It heals people, animals, and magical monsters alike. He is sure that this is the inevitable result of his meetings with everyone. Then he will use her at his own discretion. The girl said that she may have taken on a human form, but her brain was still that of a lizard. She said that her body was more suitable. The girls started arguing among themselves. The guy asked them to calm down. The queen said it was fun to watch. The protagonist said that Typhus wasn't acting weird. The girl said that they divine beasts have a spiritual connection with heaven, and her connection is especially strong, and it must be that gods will pass through her. It turns out that everything Tiffany said was not a metaphor. He wasn't sure he understood everything after so much information, but he wanted to live like before. The girl burst into his room and wished him good morning. She was glad that he woke up. He wanted to gather troops and attack the land right now. The man said that from his point of view, the beastmen were not to blame. The previously defeated one was unhappy with the insult he had received, and he decided to destroy them completely. Elkis shouted at the others to come out, then added that he would wipe out their country, calling them bad people. One of the country's inhabitants asked the elf what they were doing there. Had they really come to see the village's sights? At that time, the chief elf laughed at his words. At that moment, Elkis pulled out his sword and cut off his interlocutor's head. He laughed loudly and said that they were a bunch of losers. It seemed that he would destroy their entire country in half a day. At the same time, he laughed loudly. However, the voice of the beastman came from behind him, asking about what he had just done. The elf immediately turned around and said that he did not understand why his neck was intact. The boy asked him about it again. At that moment, one of the elves jumped on the guy and said that he was a pathetic little bug, so he would do it again. The beastman immediately covered himself, but no attack came because someone attacked the elf. The attacking elf was cut into pieces. Elkus looked at this and was shocked because he did not expect this. At this time, one of his subordinates called out his name and said that the light had enveloped the village. They could not go further. Elkus realized that this was a magical force, after which he spoke the name of the main character out loud. Elkus said that they had fortified the village in anticipation of his arrival, and then asked if that was really smart. The beastman immediately asked him what he meant. The guy said that Master Zeke was here yesterday for a routine checkup. He remembered the queen's words that whoever the protagonist heals will be blessed with light for a while. The elves began to say that they could not break through such a shield, they had to retreat. Elkus interrupted him and said that a dragon slayer hero does not give up so easily, after which he summoned the demon Baphomet. The man said that they would now cut their way through. He would use the SS-rank demonic beast to destroy the devil's barrier and everything in its path. At that moment, something distracted him, after which his eyes widened in shock. Elkus was very angry. He immediately went forward. His subordinates began to call him by name, but he did not react. The man said that the bad man was much stronger than he thought. He said that he would have to go back and come up with a plan, but at that moment he started coughing. Elkus asked in surprise what it was, after which he saw a monster in front of him. The latter greeted him, calling him long-eared. Elkus smirked and said that it was a lizard that he hadn't finished off the other day, after which he asked if he was really looking for a fight. To which the monster replied that he had correctly understood his intentions after becoming acquainted with Zeke's power. The man said that it seemed like his interlocutor had received a favor from that bad person, after which he offered to arrange a rematch. To which the latter agreed and said that it was something like that. Elkus swung his hand and said that he would crush him into a pancake, after which he summoned his magic bow. However, at that very moment, his hands were cut off. The man turned around and started screaming about his hands when he saw that they were lying on the ground. The monster said that he could no longer hold the bow and then asked how he would pierce its scales. To which Elkus laughed and said that he could also use healing magic. Such injuries were nothing. At the same time, he stood and cried. The man was very tense. He tried to use his magic to restore his hands, but nothing worked. He only prayed that he needed to do a little more. After that, when he realized that he was not succeeding, he began to shout about why magic did not work. To which the monster told him that miracles of healing were manifested with the help of divine power. He also said that Elkus attacked Zeke, the messenger of God, so it was only natural that he lost his blessing. Elkus, with tears in his eyes, began to shout that he did not understand anything, after which he asked to speak directly to him, calling him a lizard. The man saw 4 more huge dragons in front of him besides this monster, and at that moment the lizard said that, in other words, he had stepped on God's tail. Elkus immediately smiled condescendingly and began to ask for forgiveness, after which he tried to explain that he did not try to kill Zeke, and he also began to beg him. At this time, the protagonist was reading a newspaper which said that a group of elves had suffered losses due to a mysterious phenomenon. He thought that he would have to ask them to increase patrols. Tiffany said that he needed to rest. Zeke said that he doesn't work, he just reads the reports. To which the girl said that this is also work, she confiscates it and he should rest even if he doesn't argue with her. He was upset. The protagonist was talking to his friend, who was talking about how he had to lose a week's salary after his secretary criticized him for exercising, but he was bored to death from the very first day. Chichen laughed until she cried and said that she never thought she would hear such words from Zeke's mouth. It's good that he has someone to guide him. The main character said that she was right, he thought he would like to have such a wife. The girl immediately took out a book on how to control a man, after which she began to read it carefully. At this time, Tiffany said that a cave had recently been found on the border and suggested that they all go and explore it. After a while, they found themselves in a dungeon, a general term for a large labyrinth. The underground is the source of the magical element in the atmosphere. It is also the source of magical power. When it is deep underground, it forms a core and thus becomes a underground. Dungeons can be compared to a living creature. It has no body but has a fierce desire to devour people. It creates monsters, traps, evil magic. If left unchecked, they can invade the outside world. They don't know why they exist, but today adventurers from all over the world are descending deep underground to eliminate the threat that has arisen. At this time, Elizabeth fought the monster. She struck him several times, after which he fell to the ground, bleeding. This was her last enemy. She turned to her team and asked them to give her a status update. They told her everything was fine, except for the uncle covering for his niece. The man said that he was a tank, that was his job. To which the girl said that he shouldn't have exposed himself like that. The guy turned to the leader and said that he had made a mistake in disarming the trap, to which she replied that it was not only his fault, everything was fine. The little girl said that the whole dungeon had a disgusting atmosphere, but it wasn't half as bad as it could have been. The boy said that the cave was full of S-class monsters, so he suggested retreating, but he was refused. Elizabeth said that it would be disobeying the royal command. They would lose the confidence of the Prime Minister, and that would be disastrous for their party. She then shouted that they were switching roles. She would tank and the man would cover the rearguard, to which the little girl replied that they needed to be careful, as she could feel the magic activating. At the same time, they were surrounded by a huge number of monsters. The blonde asked if this was really an increased appearance of monsters, to which the other guy said that they really would have to start over. The leader said to act. At that very moment, in another part of the dungeon, the protagonist was with his team. Tiffany was very happy as they rolled down. She said that it was very funny. Zeke said that the situation was terrible. He even got a little nervous. To which she replied that it was so fun and there were so many rides, it must be an amusement park. To which Chichen asked if they were sure that the cave was safe. The girl said that you can fall into the lava here, get hit, and everything will be fine. Chichen doubtfully agreed with her. The main character said that he was interested in how it all works. At the same time, Tiffany saw that there were monsters there. They were just like real ones. Then Zeke asked if it was really stupid to be afraid of such things. At this time, the monster standing in front of them turned to them and told them to die, after which he attacked Tiffany with a huge hammer. He literally pressed her into the ground with his weapon. Chichen immediately screamed about it, to which Zeke said that it was okay because it was an attraction. At this time, Tiffany laughed and said that he scared her. Everyone in the cave was shocked. Suddenly, she looked at the bull and said that he was wounded. The main character at that moment asked him about it. It wasn't some special makeup or something like that. Zeke approached him, touched his wound, and said that he was a doctor and could fix such things in a blink of an eye, so he asked to take a look. After that, he used the healing skill. The monster was shocked by what was happening. The main character said that after the examination he cast a healing spell on his entire body so that the monster would be cured of all other ailments. Tiffany said that it was cool. At this time, the bull asked him if his name was really Zeke. The monster knelt before him and thanked him for waking him up. Now he needs their help as there are many who are trapped by the curse. At the same time, in another part of the dungeon, the uncle again covered his niece from the monster's blow. Elizabeth immediately called out to him and asked what he was doing. The man at this time fell to the ground, blood oozing from his wounds. Uncle was saying that he was a tank and wouldn't let her get hurt. The others started saying that he was okay, but he was having trouble breathing and there was a lot of blood. The leader said that there was a sign on the other side that led to the core of the dungeon. The little girl said that she thought they should go that way. Elizabeth asked how much magic they had left to attack. The blonde one told her that there was 20% of the sub's magic left. The other one said 30% if they used the last of their recovery items. The leader said that when she gave the signal, they should fire everything they had at the front line, to which the dark-haired man replied that if they just fired at them, they would choose evasive tactics. Then Elizabeth said that they just needed to get rid of them and she would buy time. They should head in the opposite direction and scatter the enemies, and she would run as fast as she could. Together they would destroy the core. The blonde asked if she really thought it was real, to which the leader replied that it was her fault, that she had not properly assessed the difficulty of the dungeon, so she should take responsibility. The Dark One said that she had not thought through the plan with the explosion. The guy said that if she could pass the dungeon with such a strategy, she would have no problems. He asked her a few questions, after which he asked about the fact that she did not even know the core attribute, to which the girl began to get angry and embarrassed. The Dark One said that he thought they would make it anyway. The Blonde One said that they would all come back alive. The leader blushed and thanked them for that. At that moment, a strong explosion occurred in the room. The Blonde said that they had already talked about the explosion, to which Elizabeth said that it was not her. It turned out that it was the main character with his team. He said that there were so many people here. The leader immediately asked who they were, to which Zeke replied that he was just a doctor passing by. Everyone was surprised by this. The protagonist said that it seemed they had suffered greatly, to which the monster replied that everything was fine, the curse had worked, but the karmic retribution had not, to which Zeke said that the truth had passed, it was all a matter of time and strength. After that, the protagonist closed his eyes and then used the return skill, which worked on both monsters and people. The leader looked at her hand and saw that her wounds had disappeared. Uncle also had a healthy complexion, all of his wounds had disappeared. His niece was immediately overjoyed at this. Then everyone saw that even all the monsters had returned. The latter turned to the main character and thanked him, after which they said that he was worthy of being their master. The protagonist said that it was too embarrassing, asked them not to behave like that while shaking his hands in front of him. The leader and her team were shocked. They asked if he was really a demon lord. After some time, Zeke came to the estate. He greeted Elizabeth and asked if they had completed all the formalities, to which the girl answered positively and added that they were now residents of Narogma. The main character said that he was surprised to learn that they were from the same city, to which the girl said that she agreed with him. She was also surprised. She said that he was veterinary, she had heard a lot about him. Zeke responded positively and said that they were a little famous, to which Elizabeth replied that there were rumors that they had disappeared. It was hard to even imagine how much the kingdom had lost with his departure. The protagonist looked away. It was obvious that he was uncomfortable. He even became a little nervous. He said out loud that it was quite a long time ago. She asked him about the king and the prime minister. Is it true? The girl replied that they were a group under the direct command of the prime minister, so they had received a direct order from the king to go to this dungeon. They had been through a lot, but now they had had enough. Elizabeth said that they were the main party of the S-class Twilight Dragon country, but in fact, they turned out to be the prime minister's personal army. This time they went to such a hellish dungeon without any time to prepare. The protagonist said that from their side the dungeon was truly hellish, and to himself he thought that it was really the blessing of the gods that they did not suffer. Elizabeth said that it really happened. They all arrived so happy, to which Zeke apologized and said that it was not very nice on their part. At that moment the girl asked him if their meeting was some kind of date, to which the guy replied that he just dropped by to see her and that he would soon be back in the infirmary. At that moment, the bull monster apologized to them for the wait. The protagonist turned to him, smiled, and said that he was glad that he was doing so well, to which the monster said that if it weren't for him, none of this would have happened. Elizabeth agreed with him and said that the guy lifted the curse on every monster in the dungeon and hired everyone. It's amazing how deep the heart of this country is. To which the bull replied that they should thank Sophia for everything. The girl turned to the bull. Her face was very sad. She said that she had told him all sorts of things in the dungeon, to which the monster interrupted her and said that there was nothing terrible about it. It happens to everyone. The main character said that yesterday's enemy is today's friend. It doesn't matter what happened in the past, the main thing is what's in the present. Elizabeth agreed with him. The girl said that humans, beastmen, and even monsters laugh and live together. He created it, it's so wonderful, they decided to move here for that reason. The protagonist asked her if it was true and then said that he thought it was because of the good food, to which Elizabeth, with her mouth full, said that the food here was truly magnificent. At that moment, the leader was called out by her team. After that, she apologized to Zeke and said that it was time for her to go since they were having a dinner party, to which he was surprised because she had eaten a lot. Then he noticed a scar on her cheek. The protagonist said that he would fix it the next time he saw her, to which the girl replied that everything was fine, it was an old scar. She touched it with her hand and said that it was a memory of the people she had met, her memories. For her it was like a medal. The main character looked at her a little surprised, after which he said that this was a scar that did not need to be healed. He understood everything. Zeke asked her what kind of memories these were, to which the leader replied that he was asking a very delicate question. He should be ashamed. The guy immediately began to apologize for this. He did not want to offend her. The girl said that she was joking. Elizabeth turned to him, winked, and said that when they got to know each other better, she would tell him. Zeke smiled and said that he understood everything. He would make an effort. At the same time, Chichen was sitting in the bushes and watching their meeting. The bull looked at her in shock because it was strange. At this time, in another place, an unknown person asked the diamond dragon that the guy's name was really Zeke. To which the dragon responded positively and said that he thought he could help him. To which the interlocutor replied that he would pay him a visit, after which the dragon asked to prepare the others. To which he was told that there was no need for this. The diamond dragon asked the master to wait, but the latter went in search of the main character and said that his dear child should be patient a little longer. The king shouted that the S-class Twilight Dragon party had left the country and then said that it was nonsense. To which the guild member said that he did not know the details. They said that they left for personal reasons. The man began to loudly complain and say that they had sent them on such a noble mission and they dared to leave. To which the interlocutor responded that he should calm down, calling him His Majesty. The Prime Minister asked what it meant that they had left the country. To which the guild member replied that he did not know. They were in the Prime Minister's service, so he should know better. The king indignantly asked what to do now, to which the Prime Minister replied that he had only found a statement of resignation from several people, but the reason was unknown to him. The king shouted that in any case he did not need a bad reputation, and at the same time the group that had fled from him, he must immediately find a replacement, calling them incompetent people. Then the guild member turned to him and asked him about the fact that he seemed not to understand what was happening in the country. The man indignantly asked him again what he was saying. The employee said that it wasn't just Elizabeth and her friends who had fled the country. Lately, they've been getting requests to deal with escaped magical beasts, pets on the loose, and other nonsense. After all, it is the government that is responsible for maintaining such security, and they would like to ask the king what the government plans to do. The king and the Prime Minister, when they heard about the scattered animals, immediately remembered the main character. The king began to swear and say that he could not believe that Zeke was involved here. The employee asked them to calm down. After this, the men kicked them out, saying that if they were going to make noise, they should do it outside. The king asked how he dared to be so rude since he had just kicked the king in the leg. However, he asked about the snow. At this point, the Prime Minister turned to the king when he saw something scary above. The latter said that he did not think that there would be anything more unpleasant. When he turned around, he saw a huge dragon in the sky. The guild member shouted that it was a dragon and then asked what it was doing in the city center, what the patrols were doing. The ice dragon, looking at them, said that the human settlement where the veterinarian is located is harder to find than she thought. She is looking for a man named Zeke, a famous veterinarian. The guild member asked her if she was threatening him. The dragon, looking at them, thought that she understood everything. People could not understand the dragon's speech. She wondered what she should do. The king asked the people what they were standing there for. They had to destroy it. To which the employee said that they had not done anything yet. There was no need to provoke the beast. The Prime Minister said that it was too late to do anything. Then the guild members grabbed the Prime Minister by his clothes and told him that they were taking their taxes themselves. The king, looking at them, came to the conclusion that they were useless. Then someone called out to him and said that they saw that he was in trouble. The man turned around and saw a squad of mercenaries in front of him. It turned out to be a group of mercenaries, hungry wolves, or rather a group of thugs led by the leader Lamob, but they still have the ability. They have experience in defeating old dragons. The Prime Minister approached the king and asked him where he had found the mercenaries. The man replied that he had recruited them himself because his interlocutor had been useless. Then his subordinate said that if he allowed such scoundrels to stay here, the castle would not be safe. He also shut up about the reward, but the king interrupted him and said that it was not his problem, it was the job of the Prime Minister. Then the king turned to Lamabu with a smile on his face and said that they had come at the right time, after which he ordered to get rid of the dragons immediately. Then the head of the mercenaries said that the man should kneel. The king asked him again, to which the guy replied that he said to kneel when he asks someone for something, he must observe the rules of etiquette. He said that this was nonsense. After this, Lamob and his team turned around and walked away, saying that he suddenly felt cold, they would go to warmer lands. Then the king called out and asked to wait. The leader asked with a bored look what the king wanted from them if he couldn't even kneel. The latter started to get angry, then he looked around. After that, the king fell to his knees, he bowed low to the floor and asked for help to deal with the dragon. Lamob immediately began to laugh until he cried. The guy laughed very loudly and said that they should all look at this great king, this is a real masterpiece. The latter continued to kneel and his whole body was shaking with anger and embarrassment. Lamob said that he amused him, after which he turned to his team and said that they would now go kill monsters. Everyone agreed. The dragon at that moment did not expect that someone would approach him. He thought to himself that the people were discussing something, maybe they understood her words, but at that moment she was attacked. Lamob turned to his team members and asked if they planned to join, otherwise he would kill him alone. Ice Dragon thought that she was very angry. At this time, the mercenaries decided to use all the charges they had. They would squeeze out as much reward from him as they could. All the mercenaries attacked the dragon at the same time, shouting at him to die. The king immediately raised his fists in joy and said that they had succeeded. Lamob laughed and happily talked about it being bingo. At that moment, he saw a barrier in front of him. It turned out that the main character had put it up. He shouted at everyone to stop what they were doing. The guy was immediately recognized. The king shouted his name. The ice dragon, looking at him, thought that he had finally found Zeke. The latter turned to the ice dragon and said that he had heard about her from the diamond dragon. Lamob shouted at Zeke not to interfere with him and then asked if he was on the side of the animals, to which the latter replied that he was on no one's side, he simply could not leave the wounded alone. They called him a good man. The guy attacked the protagonist with his weapon, but the latter simply smashed it into pieces. Lamob asked him in shock that he really smashed a ball of the hardest orichalcum with his bare hands. At this time, the ice dragon groaned. The protagonist realized that she was in a very bad condition, they would have to hurry. After that, Zeke decided to use his paralysis skill. All the mercenaries, all the people who tried to attack the dragon, suddenly froze. The protagonist, looking at this, thought that it seemed like he was getting better not only in healing magic. The king looked around and asked if Zeke had done it. The prime minister, also shocked, said that it was. The king said that he didn't know he was that strong. Mint shouted to her brother that she was ready, to which the latter replied that it was good, they would take the ice dragon and be transported, to which her sister told her that they would teleport her to the kingdom of beastmen. The dragon asked to do so. The king called Zeke by name and said that he had done a great thing in coming to the aid of the country in its hour of need. They would forget the battle and consider returning him to his position. However, the main character did not react to this in any way. The king said that he simply ignored him, calling him a damn dragon lover. At this time, Zeke began examining the ice dragon. He said that the egg was stuck inside, she was having problems giving birth. This is all a very dangerous situation. He asked her why she came to the city in such a state, since it was quite possible that he would not have had time to arrive. To which the ice dragon remained silent and said nothing. At that moment, he was told that she must have been worried about him. It was Elrond, the Dragon King. Zeke asked him if he meant the Ice Dragon King. Tiffany greeted him by calling him the Divine Dragon King. Elrond told her that they hadn't seen each other for a long time, calling her the Princess of the Divine Beast. Mint told Zeke that it was the supreme god of all dragons. To which the man smiled and said that everything was true, he was the great and winged Elrond. He was glad that a human child knew him. Zeke asked him how such a great king ended up here. To this, Elrond said that the ice dragon was his 7th wife. He noticed that she had been acting strangely lately, but he did not know that she was carrying a child. After that, he turned to her and asked why she hid it. Mint also turned to the dragoness and asked if she was really afraid of all this struggle for the throne, to which she answered positively. The ice dragon said that if she had given birth to a child before the queen, it would have caused a scandal, so she decided to hide with the baby. The king said that it was true, if she gave birth, it would be his first child. but he was not as categorical as other kings. With all his heart he would be happy with the appearance of their child. The dragoness blushed at these words. Elrond said that as punishment for leaving him even for a moment, she would enjoy his love even more than before, along with the child, of course. The ice dragon thanked him for this. The protagonist apologized to them for interrupting their emotional conversation, but the situation was quite serious. The king said that he understood. Elrond turned to Zeke and asked if he could save the ice dragon. He replied that he would save her, but there were some nuances. He is afraid that natural childbirth is not an option now. In his opinion, the only way is to make an incision. Then Elrond asked whether he really thought it was necessary for a man to touch the dragon's body, to which he answered positively, adding that it was in the interests of the mother and child. The king smiled and said that he was giving permission, as his aura spoke for itself. He asked to keep his two most beloved dragons, to which Zeke replied that he did not need to be told twice. After that, they laid the dragon on the ground, belly up. The protagonist began to use his magic to carry out the necessary machinations, and then took out a scalpel and all the medical supplies. Then, together with his team and the beastmen, they helped the ice dragon give birth. After some time, he took the egg out of her body and said that it was a success. Tiffany said that he did it. Elrond asked if the baby was safe, to which Zeke replied that it was fine. He could feel the beating of its living, pulsating wings. Immediately, a crack appeared along the egg. Chichen said that it was amazing. The dragon was about to be born. The man said that he should hold tight and meet him. The main character himself was shocked by what was happening. Ice Dragon also asked him about this. Mint told him not to worry, as dragons do not have the habit of imprinting, to which he asked if this was true. A few moments later, the egg cracked completely and a small dragon appeared. Everyone was touched by how small and cute he was. After that, the dragon looked at him with his beady eyes, which surprised Zeke. After that, he touched the latter's lips with his nose. The people around were shocked. Chichen couldn't find words. She asked about the fact that she was just born. Tiffany said that she also wanted to which Zeke replied that they should stop and not interfere with the dragon. Elrond smiled and said that the main character had done a great job, after which he thanked him, to which the guy replied that everything was fine, this was a common thing. The king said that humility is not respect. Open birth of a dragon is beyond the power of any ordinary creature. High medical skills, enormous magical power, experience in reading different types of chi. Elrond smiled at him and said that only the main character could do this. He was grateful to him for being here. The latter was embarrassed by his words. The king said that he must now leave. Zeke asked about his wife and child, to which the man replied that he asked for forgiveness, but he was forced to leave her with him for a while. Elrond looked away, his face drained of emotion, and said that he had someone to thank. At this time in the palace, the king began to shout about the damage, after which he ordered a report on it. The Prime Minister said that there had been some accidents and crop damage due to the cold, probably caused by the dragons, but thanks to Zeke's actions, it had not become a big problem. The man was surprised by these words. The king asked what this meant, why thanks to him, was he really on the side of this bad doctor? To which his subordinate replied that he was simply reporting the facts. At this time, the unknown joined the dialogue and said that it was terrible. He did not think that the main character could live in such a place. The men immediately turned to the sound. It turned out to be the dragon god. The king immediately shouted that this was his private chambers and then asked who had allowed him to enter. The prime minister said that he seemed to have seen him somewhere. Elrond, coincidentally, is also a king. He introduces himself and says that he is the god of dragons, the great winged one who rules over all dragons. The prime minister immediately asked him again if he really was the king, a god, and clarified that he really was all dragons. The king immediately asked Elrond what he had forgotten here. The man said that the ice dragon that had appeared in these lands earlier was his wife. She did not wish harm to anyone but suffered during the attack. The man looked at them seriously and said that he was looking for the culprit, after which he asked if they knew him by chance, to which the men turned pale and asked him about it again. The prime minister said that he had seen everything. They were hungry wolves, as far as he remembered. A gang with that name had attacked the dragon. At first the king pulled him up and then decided to agree with his words, saying that it was so. Elrond turned to Lamaboo and said that the king had spoken out and then asked him about it. At the same time, the guy was all beaten up. He also said that he admits that he did it, but it was on the king's orders. The latter immediately began to deny it. He said that he knew nothing at all, that the prime minister did it, that he had nothing to do with the attack. The named one was surprised by his words. Elrond closed his eyes in irritation and said that this was enough, retribution was coming, they would pay for all the crimes against his people. After this, the dragon god became very angry. He began to roar, his body began to change, after which he took his dragon form and partially destroyed the king's castle. Elrond said that this time he would consider it an accident and leave them, but next time he would use all the power of the dragons to destroy them. They should remember this. The king and the prime minister were lying on the ground. It was difficult for them to move. Then Makin came to them and asked if he had missed the most interesting part. The king greeted him, calling him a hero. At this time, the little dragon shouted the main character's name and flew towards him. The latter smiled at her and called her Shia. He picked her up, she greeted him, to which he said that he was home, after which he asked if she had been a good girl today. To which she answered positively but said that there was one but, after which she turned around. Chichen was standing not far from them. She was not very happy. Zeke asked her what was going on, to which she replied that everything was fine except for the fact that even small things come to live in the main character's house. Zeke said that there was nothing he could do. Elrond and the ice dragon asked him about it, so he agreed, to which the girl replied that he could refuse to do a favor if he was asked. Chichen said that she had lived with the main character all her life and now her sister had returned and this new girl, to which the dragon said that Shia. The girl immediately turned around and asked what she meant, to which the dragon replied that she was not new, her name was She, Zeke had given her that name. The latter said that it was true, she got it thanks to the sky blue scales, after which he asked about what she didn't like. Chichen said that it wasn't about that, why did he even name someone else's child? Mint said that dragons are a species that values family above all else. Allowing the stranger to name his child meant that Elrond was very grateful to Zeke for allowing him to name the child. The latter said that there was nothing he could do about it. The protagonist said that he thought they would get along. At that moment, the situation around him changed. Everything was in darkness. No one familiar was around. He asked about who was there, to which the unknown asked about what he wanted. A girl appeared in front of him and told him not to worry, she just had a question for him. She said her name was Elena and that she would ask him again what he wanted. The main character said that it was hard for him to say, he was just trying to help everyone he could, after which he asked her that she wasn't asking him about that. The girl said that people, monsters, gods, beasts, and dragons, different species that would never normally meet, laugh around him and believe in each other. She asked why and how this was possible. To which Zeke replied that he simply helps those who can help him, everything else comes to him by itself. In his hands is his path and the power of the gods, and everyone who is nearby is the result of his actions. She asked about what distinguishes people from others for him. The protagonist smiled at her and said that there was no need to separate them, people, animals, they were all the same. Elena did not respond to this, then he was called by name. Zeke apologized and asked about what he was told. Chichen asked him what was wrong with him, to which the guy replied that he was just lost in thought and apologized to her. Mint immediately called out to him. The main character ran out into the street and saw 3 dragons flying towards them. He asked them what had happened, to which one of them said that he had to go with them since there was a problem. At this time, near the western gate, the guards said that they were not told when they were supposed to arrive from the border, so they would have to wait for confirmation. Makin asked what it meant to wait for confirmation. The guy said that these are bureaucratic obstacles, in such moments you have to improvise. He asked them about whether they really don't know him, after which he said that he is the hero of Makin. One of the guards thought that this was the best the kingdom of Getenyuga could offer. Another thought about why he was here. And the soldiers who came with the hero said that the hero was here, so they should open the gates. At this point, Makin decided to hit the talking guard from his team, asking what he was even saying. The hero was very angry. He told them not to irritate him even more with their incompetent thoughts. The Beastman guards thought that he was really insane. They couldn't let people like him into the country. Makin turned to them and told them not to worry, just let him in, he would take care of the rest himself. While one of the guards tried to refuse him, the hero immediately made a hole in the gate. The guards said that these were great gates made of indestructible stones with guards posted around the perimeter. Makin said that such was his strength. The hero said that they should give him way. However, the guards said that he should wait. They cannot let him through. It is forbidden by the regulations. Makin began to get even angrier and say that they were annoying him. At that moment he raised his hand up, after which he said that everything was fine, they would play now, but they should remember that they had made the first step. He was not to blame for anything. At the same time, a huge black ball formed above him. Makin asked about the fact that these were the guards' houses behind them. If he burned the entire village, they would probably be more accommodating. The men were surprised by his words. The hero became more crazy. He said that they should look at how much magic had already accumulated. He would be able to blow up not only their houses, but the entire country. At that moment, the main character appeared in front of him. He landed on one knee, then looked up at Makin and asked if he was really that hero. Zeke said that he heard rumors from the kingdom, most likely he came for him. Makin looked at his hands and said that his magic was gone. He wondered if this was a distraction. Makin asked the protagonist if he was Zeke, then said that he was sent by the king to bring him back. He begged him so funny. The guy smiled and said that he was glad that Zeke came himself because he had no desire to find out how disgusting it smelled in this nest, and he forgot his deodorant at home, to which the main character said that he should go home. Makin asked him again with a crazy smile about what he had just said. It was obvious that he had not expected such an answer. Zeke said that he should go home since he is no longer a citizen of Geta. He is from Narogma, the land of animals, and he does not intend to leave. Makin said that frankly, he does not care about these words. At that moment, a magic circle formed around the guy, which threw the other guards back. He said that he was terribly nervous when Zeke put him in such a position, after which he asked him to be a good adult and listen to him. One of his team said that the king ordered to take Zeke alive, to which he replied that he knew, after which he asked what this state meant. If he just plucked out his eye and returned it like that, would that be okay? After this, Makin told the holy sword to come out, after which he said that this is the power of heroes, and then told Zeke to die. At this point, the protagonist decided to use his paralysis skill. It affected everyone without exception. Makin immediately began to scream. As it turned out, the shock wave blew him away, causing him to land in the rocks. His guard asked if everything was okay, to which he replied that he should shut up, get away from him, or he would be dead. Then Makin realized that he said paralysis. This is the lowest rank 1 skill. Did he really pierce his holy sword with it? He thought that this couldn't be happening. It was a bluff. Zeke was clearly pretending to cast another skill, but he activated a more powerful one, calling him a treacherous man. The main character told him with a serious look that if he didn't want to get hurt, he should just go home. Makin laughed and said that he seemed to want to try, but he was a brave warrior who had received the blessing of the goddess, and then asked whether he understood it or not. The guy said that he could block all the magic that ordinary people use. As long as his barrier is up, any attribute magic won't work. He will slowly accumulate magic power to destroy Zeke. At that moment, the protagonist turned his hand into an ice flow. Makin asked about whether he was using ice and snow magic after the electric shock. He called him smart, but it felt like he hadn't heard him well. However, while he was speaking, Zeke had already flown past him and delivered his blow. Makin coughed, after which, with a mad look, he asked what he had just done. The protagonist said that it was the Misty Ice Alchemy. It was a divine skill that he got from the connection with the dragon. It seemed to work better than the skills from the goddess. Makin said that it was impossible. After that, the guy fell to the ground. He had no strength, he only coughed. Chichen said that Zeke's mastery of fog and ice alchemy increased by 32. The Beastman guards asked if Makin was dead, to which the protagonist replied that he didn't think so, as he was one of the strongest heroes in the world. Zeke called out to the men the boy had come with and told them to take him with them and tell him not to come back. The men agreed with his words. After some time, the main character found himself in Queen Sophia's castle. He reported to her what had happened. He also said that he had sent Makin away. The girl did not respond to this. The main character started to get nervous. He asked if he had done something wrong, to which the girl hesitantly said that it was indeed so. Sophia said that although the news had not reached them, the hero had come to their country as a messenger. Whatever happened, it was not difficult to understand that Geton Yuga had caused them problems. Zeke said that he was very sorry. The beast guards apologized and said that they made their move first. The protagonist defended them. If the guards were guilty, it was only that they did not fulfill their mission. They would accept any punishment. Zeke was surprised by their words. Sophia said that they had no intention of punishing anyone, but the king would not back down from this. If word got out that they had kidnapped someone important enough, like Zeke, it could lead to an all-out war involving the human nations. The main character said that he was here of his own free will. The girl said that if he could not prove such a truth to the whole world, then these were just words. After that, the guards asked her to speak. One of them said that he suggested giving Zeke a knighthood. If they showed people that he was not just a pawn, but an important citizen of the country, then they would not be able to touch him so easily. The girl said that it was a good idea. Zeke asked if they were really talking about knighthood, if he was going to become a nobleman. He was already too grateful for the position of head doctor. Tiffany happily shouted that this was not the case at all. She said that they would make him a royal person. The main character immediately called her by name, and Sophia at that time said that it was a great idea. He immediately called her by name. Night fell. The main character said that he really received a knighthood. The inhabitants of the country are so frivolous, not only in parliament, but also in the square. Everyone was unanimous. At that moment, his sister came out to the balcony to see him. She said that they simply loved him very much. He immediately called her by name. Mint said that no one likes it when the star of the show leaves the party, to which he replied that now that the ceremony was over, it was time to enjoy the evening. She said that she understood everything. Also on the balcony were Elron and Tiffany. The protagonist turned to his sister and asked if she wanted a drink, and then added that the minimum age to drink here was 15. The girl thought for a moment and then said that she would take a sip. He handed her the glass. Mint first looked at the glass and its contents, then took a small sip. Her face immediately turned red. She said that it tasted great. The protagonist agreed with her. After that, the girl handed him the glass back and said that she was still a child, although she wanted to experience a lot of things. Zeke smiled sweetly and said that there were probably things that shouldn't be done. She put her hand to her chest and wanted to say what exactly, but then they saw something. Mint tried to ask what was happening, to which the protagonist said that it was happening again, after which he turned to Elaine, who appeared near them. Zeke said he didn't know the details, but she was probably not an enemy. Elena said she understood everything, so Mint was one of them too. She also added that they would have to listen to her. The girl said that today she came to ask for a favor. She needs the help of the main character as a veterinarian. She took off her hood and said that help was needed to cure her father, the demon lord. The next day, a crowd gathered outside the king's castle. They shouted that it needed to be changed and also asked what was going on in the country. An outbreak of plague on state farms has caused food prices to skyrocket. The guards have gone berserk, security is out of control, and public facilities have recently been abandoned because there aren't enough people to repair the castle. The prime minister immediately ran to the king's office, shouting that they must do something about the situation as soon as possible. The man looked around, then turned to the main man and asked what was going on here. One of the guards said that it was all the hero Makin. The latter swore loudly and also destroyed everything that came into his hands. Makin looked ahead and said that he would never forgive that bad man. He would follow through. He would make him see the light. The guard said that the hero had been like that since he returned. The king tried to restrain him, but as you can see, nothing worked. The last one was lying on the floor. He was knocked out. The hero was called by name and told to stop because he was disturbing people. It was Tan. He said that he always told him to behave with restraint, to which Tan told him to shut up and not tell him what to do. Tan said that even though the king had gathered them, their group's goal was to defeat the demon lord, so they shouldn't forget about that. The hero simply laughed at those words. Makin asked about him calling it a group. He said that they were just a bunch of weak people trying to replenish their numbers, and without him they would all be dead by now. But then one of the girls shouted to him that they had found the main character. Makin asked where he was, after which he said that he would kill him right now. It turned out that Zeke was in the demon lord's castle. Then Makin grinned in anticipation and said that it was just in time. he would give them all a bloodbath. Evening came, the protagonist and Elena reached the castle. The girl asked him if he was afraid because they came without an escort, to which the guy replied that he did not think it was a trap. Zeke said that the only thing that worried him was the sudden heroes, which is why Mint and the others were left behind. The protagonist asked Elena if she was sure that everything would go well since she decided to bring a human to the stronghold of demons. She tried to say that it was for her father. However, at that very moment she was racked with pain. She fell to the ground and started screaming. Zeke asked the girl what had happened. He was scared. As he approached her, he wondered if this was some kind of curse. At that moment, they heard a voice saying that the princess should not have done this. The unknown man said that it was not good to make such vulgar sounds openly and then asked her opinion about it. The girl called him Jammer. The man asked what made their princess bring some weak man to their lands. The protagonist looked at him seriously and said that he apologized for his nature, after which he introduced himself that his name was Zeke Veterinarian. He was a veterinarian. Jammer immediately stretched his mouth into a wide grin and said that he was a doctor, that's the thing. The man said that he would have to report to him since he was taking over as prime minister in place of the sick ruler, after which he advised him not to do anything stupid. Jammer asked Elaine if she was feeling better. She replied that she was fine, more or less. The girl said that she asked Zeke to look at her father, and since no one in the castle could cure him, they needed an outside opinion. To which the man of men chuckled and said that everything was fine. Then Jammer grinned slyly again and asked about the fact that it wouldn't help after all. The protagonist looked at him suspiciously. After some time, Zeke and Elena reached the demon lord's chambers. The girl asked him to come to the bed and examine her father. The protagonist thought that he understood what she meant. Apparently, demons weren't entirely loyal either. He thought that Jammer was probably responsible for the girl's curse. Judging by his speech, he was quite conservative. If that was the case, then the demon lord's illness was too. When the protagonist looked at the body of the demon lord, he thought that it was the same curse, but not as strong as Elena's. Zeke said that the condition was terrible. A powerful curse was eating away at the whole body like a spider web, and if he tried to heal it with the usual method, the man would fall apart. The girl was surprised by his words, and the man behind him laughed. The protagonist thought that they were demons after all. Their body was too different from the bodies of humans, beasts, and monsters, and the flow of magical power was unusual, a completely unknown realm. Jammer asked what happened, then said that he looked unwell. Wasn't he going to treat him, calling him a human doctor? The protagonist decided to ignore him. He looked at his hand and thought about the power that healed the dragon. He turned to the girl and asked if she believed him. She answered positively. After that, Zeke put his hands in front of him and then used the skill God's hand. Elena was surprised by its power, and Jammer asked if it was really healing magic. He said that it was funny that they were really so ignorant because such magic was extremely poisonous to demons. What would happen if it was used on a defenseless demon lord? At that moment, the girl's father opened his eyes. The demon lord sat on the bed and asked where he was. Elena cried with happiness and called for her father. Jammer was surprised by what was happening. The girl immediately rushed to her father, to which the latter asked if it was really her. Jammer was very shocked by what was happening. Elena told her father that he had slept too long, but a human doctor had healed him. The man turned to Zeke and thanked him for his help. Zeke replied that it was his job. The girl asked why it helped. Jammer joined her question and said that he possessed healing magic and it was extremely poisonous for demons. To which the main character replied that he did not know exactly, but he had no doubts about success. His divine abilities were developing every time. Perhaps meeting the girl and his desire gave him even more strength. Jammer said that this was nonsense, that this couldn't be, no mortal could break that curse. The demon lord turned to him and said that he had done it after all. No one else would have thought of such a thing. To which Jammer laughed and said that he had so hoped that he would remain his puppet. His face was very cunning. At that moment the situation changed. The man said that nothing could be done. He would destroy everyone who stood in his way. Jammer said that even though the lord is healthy now, he won't win in his weakened state. He can't wait for the stomach shocks to dissolve them completely. The lord said that the room itself was his magic. He saw that the man had thought everything through carefully. Elena asked if now was the time for praise. What should they do now? Jammer continued to chuckle vilely. He said that he didn't think he would have to use the composite magical beast, but it couldn't be helped. At that moment, the protagonist used foggy ice alchemy. After that, Zeke cut the beast with one blow. Jammer was surprised and asked if the special S-class demonic creature secretly raised to kill the demon lord was destroyed by a human. At that moment, the protagonist caught the girl in his arms, then turned to the man and said that it was time to give her what she deserved. But Jammer said that it was too early, then called the demon lord's army and ordered them to be killed. The demon lord asked if the entire army was under the control of this man. Elena began to worry about this, but the protagonist was not worried at all. He used his paralysis skill. After that, all the demons froze in place. Jammer was surprised. He asked if it was really paralysis. Then he disappeared. The protagonist was outraged that there were teleportation crystals again, first Zoroa, then the elf, and now this. It seemed that they were bought in bulk somewhere, to which the demon lord said that this man himself had given them out. The man said he was surprised he had managed to destroy their army, calling him a human doctor. Zeke said he was surprised that the sworn enemy of humanity, the Lord of Demons, could speak so calmly. Elena said that she didn't know what people thought of him, but her father had always been a great ruler and parent. The man said that it was no wonder he had a bad reputation. The Lord and the protagonist simultaneously spoke of the curse of the demon lord. The latter said that all the monsters in the world are cursed. They go mad and attack people. The demon lord said that it was true, but it was not his fault that this was happening, and then offered to take a look. He bared his body and showed him the demon crest on his chest. The Lord said that this is the founder's curse. The protagonist repeated his words. He thought about it. The man explained that it was left by Belial, the first young demon, the founder of the line. The emblem appears on each subsequent demon king and will never disappear. As long as it exists, their line will be under its influence. Zeke said that he understood everything. The man said that this curse strengthens the ruler's power, embodies the ideals conceived by Belial. Therefore, no matter how much time passes, demons will be just an enemy of humanity. Elena said that not all demons were thirsty for useless conflict, and her father was trying to find a way to exist. That's when Jammer took advantage of it. The main character said that regarding the curse, if he doesn't mind, he can help remove it. The Lord asked if he could really lift the curse that had bound successive kings for many generations, to which he replied that there were no guarantees. The main character said that his power was given to him to help those in need. He cannot abandon them in trouble. Zeke looked at him seriously, after which the demon lord said that he had a strong-willed gaze, so he would trust him, and then asked him to break this chain of curse. The man said that he was even ready to exchange his life so that the next generation would not have to bear this curse. After that, the demon lord knelt down in front of him. The protagonist put his hand in front of him and thought that he was a god in front of him, and in his thoughts, the original demon lord. He also thought about who was stronger. He was making promises that were beyond his capabilities, but somehow the key to everything ended up in his hands. The demon lord looked at what was happening and was surprised by this. Elena said that the main character's power was reacting to the curse mark. Zeke closed his eyes and thought that then he could heal everyone, even the demon lords and gods. The demon lord turned around and saw that it was Zeke's magic that was running through the entire castle. The girl immediately called out to him. Tiffany listened to Sophia. She said that the main character received the title of savior from the demon king, the evolution of existence, the doctor of salvation. Apparently, he is safe and sound. The demon lord looked at his body and said that the primordial curse had been lifted. He didn't even think that the curse affected not only him but the entire castle, so it couldn't be lifted so easily. The man said that he was impressed that the main character knew about it. He called him a master, to which the last answer was that it was not so at all, it was all gods. The demon lord said that even a power like modesty is meaningless without proper use. He was glad it was him. Zeke was embarrassed by his words. The man spoke of how, thanks to him, the demon race could take the next step. Elena joined him and said that they were very grateful. She was so glad she brought him here. The main character asked the girl to close her eyes for a second. At first she asked again, then became embarrassed, but did as he said. At the same time, she seemed to push out her lips for a kiss. However, Zeke simply touched her hair and said that was it. He apologized to her and said that he forgot to remove the curse from her, but now everything should be fine. Elena asked him again, after which she blushed very deeply from his words and thanked him for his help. The demon lord said that she had a strange expression on her face, to which the girl asked her father not to tease her. The protagonist asked what they were even talking about. At that moment they heard screams from the side. The unknown person was screaming for the demon lord to come out, calling him a bad person. Zeke recognized that voice. They all went out to the balcony to see what was going on. It was the hero Makin who said that he was going to destroy them all. After that, they all stood together in front of each other. Makin told Zeke that he saw what he had found in new friends, to which the latter said that he was even more stupid than he thought. Elena said that they were so careless, they only removed the lock's protective mechanism to invite the protagonist inside, to which the latter replied that everything was fine. Zeke turned to the hero and asked if he was really here to defeat the demon lord, to which Makin told him not to worry. The protagonist said that he had lifted the curse that made monsters and demons go crazy. There was no need to fight anymore. Makin asked him again in shock. Zeke asked him about what he couldn't see and then added that the demon lord had no intention of allowing the demons to run amok. He just wanted them to live in peace. Makin asked him again. The hero said that he doesn't care whether the ruler is good or bad. He is a hero, and he doesn't need another reason to kill the man. And he also added to kill Zeke. Makin said that the latter will pay for the crimes that brought him such shame. He will not forgive him even after 100 days of torture. The protagonist also used his paralysis skill, but Tan appeared in front of him and used the ecliptic barrier skill. Zeke was very surprised that a barrier was erected in front of him for the first time, and his power did not work. At this time, the opponents were already preparing to act. The dark-haired man used the heavenly demon palm skill, causing the ground beneath the feet of the protagonist, the demon lord, and his daughter to split and fall down. The protagonist held Elena in his arms. He said that as he expected from heroes, they are different from the rest. Makin laughed and said that last time it was Zeke who caught him off guard, but now he wouldn't give him a chance. The hero shouted to his entire team to destroy the enemies, make them pay, they must finish them all off. His team members began to use various skills, including the Purgatory Fire Circle, the Typhoon Vacuum Blade, and the Heavenly Thunder Slashing Sword. And in the end, the 10 Destruction Spells skill was used. The Demon Lord said that it was precise power and coordination, simply brilliant. Elena called out Zeke's name. He said that it was not such a problem. After that, the main character's hand began to glow. The girl turned to him and called him by name again, to which the guy thought that this was a new power. Then a blow came to the place where the Demon Lord, his daughter, and the boy were standing. Makin asked what he had really destroyed, to which Tan replied in the negative. After the smoke cleared, the silhouettes of the protagonist and the Demon Lord, who was holding his daughter in his arms, appeared. The rivals began to shout that he was unharmed, and Makin asked about what he was holding in his hand. When the hero saw the sword in his hand, he asked why he had the holy sword, to which the main character replied that he did not understand how this happened. The Demon Lord said that the sword was imbued with the hero's power and needed it. He, as a Demon Lord, could vouch for that. Makin started swearing and said that he didn't care if it was a bluff or a lie. They didn't need 2 heroes in this world. Tan said that it was true, there was only 1 hero. The guy said that these were the right words, he was the one and only. Then something surprised him. It turned out that Tan knelt before the main character, introduced himself to him, and said that he entrusted his life into his hands. Makin asked what kind of nonsense he was talking about. There was no need to work for this man. He was the only one a man should follow. Tan turned to the boy, called him by name, and then asked if he could summon his holy sword. Makin said that of course he could do it. He was a brave man. The guy tried to do it, but it didn't work. The hero began to ask why this was happening. He cursed several times and then asked the sword why it was not answering him, to which Tang addressed him by name. The man told him that he was no longer a hero. Perhaps even the goddess had abandoned him. The Demon Lord and his daughter were shocked. At this time, the king was very angry. He ate canned food, cursed, and asked why he had to live like this. One of his guards said that he should be patient until the crowd left the castle. The man said that people were stupid, they forgot their duty to him, they treated him very badly. The people's demonstrations turned into a riot and the king was forced to flee the castle. The man turned to his guard and asked where the prime minister had gone, to which the latter replied that he had not seen him and was probably dealing with a riot. The king started screaming about how damn everyone was useless. Then he saw a magic seal and asked what it was. The guard said it was a teleportation spell, then asked him to be careful. After the man saw that some people had appeared in this place, he screamed. The Lord said that he apologized for not calculating the coordinates. The king took a closer look, then asked in surprise if it was really Zeke. The guard was also shocked. The man asked what the main character was doing here, what he needed, after which he said that it was all because of him, and also asked what these guys were doing to him. Zeke closed his eyes and sighed because it was hard for him to talk to this man. Tan asked him for permission to explain everything. The latter said that Zeke accepted the title of hero from Makin, who confronted the Demon Lord and managed to convince him. The Demon Lord explained who he was and then added that thanks to Zeke's power, he no longer had any reason to fight humans. On behalf of all demons, he apologized for all his past actions. The king was shocked. He asked what was going on and then said that he was a surprisingly quiet guy, even for a demon lord. The man then turned to the protagonist and said that he was a true man of action. Not only had he defeated the demon lord, but had also taken him alive. Zeke tried to explain the situation regarding the demons to him, but the king did not listen to him. He turned to the guards and told them to get ready because they were expecting a public execution. The guy asked them again. The king said that once he could convince the people, he was sure that he would go down in history as the king who brought peace to the world. Zeke asked what he meant. The man said that he should not worry, the honor of the executioner will go to him. The main character began to shout that the demon lord was not bad, he was driven by a curse, he removed it, now the monsters will no longer attack people. The demon lord said that everything was fine, lifting the curse did not cancel the previous events, it was a small price to pay, the price of one life. The king said that after the execution they would hunt down other monsters, when they grew up it would be easy to eradicate them, after which they could build a stadium where they could enjoy hunting them. It would be a great outlet for the people. At that moment, the main character clenched his fists very tightly. It was clear that he was angry, after which he called out to the king. The man turned around and saw that Zeke was holding the hero's holy sword, shining as brightly as his majesty. However, at that very moment, the sword cut through the clothes on his body. The king immediately cried out about what the protagonist was doing, to which the latter replied that he had made a decision. Zeke said that he was going to build a country for everyone where monsters could live in safety. The man asked him again. The king asked what he was talking about, had he really gone crazy? To which the protagonist replied that he had decided everything, he thought that monsters could live in peace like people and animals. Zeke added that the thing is that most of them caused a lot of harm to people, some even died, so he understands his indignation. So they need to build a country where all the discriminated can live in peace and gradually make everyone understand that they are no different from everyone else. The king asked what kind of nonsense he was talking about and added that he couldn't do it all alone, to which the main character replied that he wasn't alone. There were a lot of dragons in the sky above them. Sophia said that they would help him. Elrond said that each of them would do it. Zeke was shocked that they came to his aid. Mint said that the divine queen of beasts, the divine king of dragons, the lord of demons, it seems to her that even now the main one has many allies, but in the future there will only be more of them. The king asked him if he was trying to conquer the world, and then asked him not to say that he was planning to become a demon lord. The main character turned to him with a smile and said that he was not interested in such things, but he was ready to take on this role if necessary. The demon lord said that if he was going to become the new lord, it would be easier for him. He was sure that it would make his title less frightening for people. Tiffany said that Zeke gets the title of demon lord, evolution of the existence of the savior. The girl said that she had a premonition ever since she met him in the forest that this was supposed to happen. He went down the path he believed in, and she would always stand by and help. Chichen asked what she was thinking. Did she really feel like his wife because she was the one next to Zeke? Mint said that they were both wrong. Her brother loved her the most. Chichen said that they were not even close to her. The demon lord laughed and said that Zeke should take care of his daughter too, to which the protagonist agreed with a smile. The other girls were shocked by his words. Sophia asked if he now understood the situation he found himself in. He could only watch from the side. The king immediately became nervous and asked if they really thought that people would follow their bunch of God knows who. The man said that people would unite against them, but Sophia said with a smile that they had already informed the neighboring countries about this. Elrond said that they had seen the exploits of their dragons and promised to cooperate. The king could not find an answer to these words. Sophia said that it was a pity that they could not achieve cooperation with him, after which they said goodbye to him. The man froze, then turned to the guard and asked what he should do, to which the latter replied that he did not know. Then someone called out to the king. The king turned around and saw another guard. He asked him what he needed. The latter replied that he had information. The townspeople who had captured the castle demanded the abolition of the monarchy. The parliament agreed, and a revolution took place. The kingdom was practically destroyed. The king asked him again about the revolution. The man was very nervous. He said that he didn't understand, and then asked what he was talking about. The guard apologized to him and said that he had a family and therefore could not accompany him further. Another guard told him to wait since he was going with him. The king immediately called out to them, after which he asked them not to leave him. He sat down on the ground. It was clear that he did not understand what to do next. He was called by name. It was the prime minister. The king immediately asked if it was really him and also asked where he had been. The king also asked since when the man had been flying, was this some kind of joke? There was pure shock in his eyes. The prime minister chuckled and said that he thought he would be more useful than him, after which the man fell to the ground. The king was shocked by what was happening. The latter asked the stranger what he was doing, then his eyes widened. It turned out to be the girl who had shouted the protagonist's name. The Beastman Kingdom's castle is flourishing. A beautiful clear day illuminates the huge tree growing in the center of the building. In the air, there is harmony and a sense of calm. Young Tiffany sits at a table, writing something diligently on paper. She is alone in a room filled with flowers and large bookcases with a huge number of books. The silence is broken only by the sound of T moving her pen across the paper. She abruptly closes the thick textbook with a loud bang. She happily declares that she is finally done with her homework. She raises her hands up in joy of victory over her homework. She suddenly changed form to her fluffy and soft self. She flew out of her room, flew through her mother's throne room, and flew around her throne and advisors. She happily announced that she was going to visit Zeke. Her mother called out to her daughter. Queen Sophia yells at her daughter, who has already flown out the window to meet Zeke, to behave herself. Yu, in turn, confirms that she will behave very diligently. While T was flying to Zeke's new place of residence, she was thinking that after Zeke had declared that he was going to found his own country where everyone would live side by side, he had slowly but surely fulfilled his promise. Thanks to Zeke's divine gift, he was able to change the old lands of the Demon Lord, making them fertile and beginning to bloom. Zeke was able to build new buildings there and discover new resources for the development of his state. New beasts and demons who have come to their senses come to his state, seeking refuge from all over the world. In a very short time, the protagonist's castle became one of the leading cities on the continent, becoming a thriving fortress. As she floats in the air, T watches the city grow and prosper thanks to Zeke's efforts. She giggles happily. As she flew further into the city, T kept going on about how cool Zeke was and how much she admired him. The old castle of the Demon Lord has changed greatly in appearance and has become much brighter and does not look like a place of darkness anymore. It has also adopted the name of Zeke's family, VETERINARIAN. Princess Tiffany flew into the throne room and began greeting everyone beforehand. When she flew to the throne, she hoped to see Zeke there. She is very happy that she can meet him. She is very surprised that there is no one on the throne. She is perplexed that there is no one in the room. Dorothy came up from behind and called out to the princess. The secretary noticed that the princess had come to visit the new Demon Lord again. T asks Dorothy how things are going, to which the bunny girl replies that they are doing well and Zeke and the others are very nice to her. Dorothy explains that Zeke has gone off to do his job as a Demon Lord, leaving her alone. T notes that Zeke is working again, leaving his throne, but with a cheerful smile, she notes that Zeke is not just lounging around and being lazy, but doing important things. A new, beautiful, and large cattle farm has emerged in the suburbs. There, Zeke performs a routine inspection of the vehicle, using his special assessment skill. Behind him stands his old farmer friend who moved to the city under Zeke's leadership, happily watching his favorite vet at work. Meanwhile, Zeke declared that the cow he was examining was fine. The veterinarian also states that everything is fine with the cow and that the cow is in excellent health. The farmer, hearing that everything is fine with his cow, was happy. He was very worried that the cattle's health might deteriorate due to the move, so he asked Zeke to examine the animals. He happily noted that Zeke now held the title of Demon Lord. Zeke turned on and began to be modest and answered the farmer that even if people call him a hero or a ruler, he does not consider himself one. He replied with a slight smile that despite all his titles, he was simply a simple veterinarian doing his job. The farmer was very embarrassed and laughed. His daughter appeared from behind and greeted the doctor joyfully. She and the cat ran up to him and handed him a jar of milk and offered the good doctor to try the milk from their cows. She glowed with happiness, seeing the doctor and the opportunity to thank the doctor. The doctor happily accepted the jar and drank all the milk to the very bottom. He exhaled happily and declared that it was very tasty milk, generously seasoned with love. The girl was beaming with happiness that the doctor liked the milk from their farm. The newly minted demon lord stroked the girl's head with a smile on his face and said words of gratitude to her. In response, the girl was very happy and said that she and her father had tried hard to make the milk excellent. At that moment, his sister and T arrived at the farm. He heard them shouting his name and became embarrassed. He laughed sheepishly and with a slight grin that the girls had caught him. The farmer supported his joke and welcomed him home. With the sky in the background, Tiffany stated that Zeke couldn't do that. They continued their conversation while riding on Kai-chan's mount. Princess T remarked that Zeke worked too much, and even if he was going to skip work, he should do it right. The man said that he had not seen his close friend Che in her old form for a long time. The girl replied that she would always be his support, no matter what form she took. The protagonist thanked his companion named Kai-chan for her support. He then turned to Mint, who was sitting behind him, and asked what had happened when he heard her muttering. The young man noticed with a smile that Mint worked as a librarian and asked what reasons she might have for being outraged. The girl sadly admitted that she had hoped to spend more time with her brother since they worked in the same castle, but he was constantly busy with field work, leaving all the paperwork to her. After these words, she added that she would apply for a transfer. The guy stopped her and said that her work was important for the children who would be the future of the country, and that he and everyone else were counting on her. The girl thoughtfully repeated the words about children and the future, obviously touched by his words. Mint blushed and, misunderstanding her brother, began to imagine and dream about her and Zeke's children together. The heroes discussed their dinner plans. They all agree to have dinner together once they get back to the castle. They want to take Shi along so they can have some company. The deepest part of the demon realm is shown. This place resembles a huge funnel leading into the depths. The atmosphere is ominous and inspiring fear. The old man who cursed the former demon lord and his daughter thanks him for saving him. He greets the demon named Rouge with respect. He approaches Rouge's throne and looks at his savior. The old man approaches him, feeling his authority. Rouge watches him from above, silently. Rouge is a demon lord. His appearance radiates strength and calm. Rouge watches the events unfold with great attention. The old man continues to speak. He admits that without Rouge's help, he would have fallen into the hands of Zeke's forces and the deity who blessed him. His gratitude sounds sincere. Rouge is silent for a while, looking down thoughtfully. The old man asks to pay attention. Rouge wants to show something important. A strange creature appears, consisting of a shapeless mass with horns and limbs. The old man is surprised to see it. The creature moves and makes sounds. The old man explains that it is a synthetic magical beast. It was acquired recently. The old man's face expresses slight excitement. Rouge tells of his attempts to care for the beast. He fed it, checking if it was hungry. However, the creature refused to eat the food offered. The old man asked his interlocutor what exactly he fed the mysterious creature. In response, the lord admitted that he fed it human remains, apparently considering this acceptable for such a creature. The old man, in amazement and slight horror, could not immediately find the words, but only began to make a sound in bewilderment, as if not believing what he heard. He tried to justify himself by explaining that although the creature had become like this due to circumstances, it was still previously human, so he suggested using animal meat instead of humans. The demon calmly listened to the old man's excuses and briefly replied that he understood his position, but no emotion was reflected on his face. The old man hesitantly reached forward with his hand, as if hoping to stop what was happening or trying to ask for mercy, not understanding what was happening. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through his body, and he screamed in unbearable agony as his blood began to gush out of his body. The old man screamed in panic and asked the demon what he was doing. The demon, sitting on his throne, calmly replied that he was simply following the established rules. He explained that according to rumors, in order to obtain the power of another being, one must eat the one who possesses that power and thus inherit it. The old man, in horror, could no longer utter a word, only letting out a quiet groan, frozen in a daze from pain and fear of imminent death. The demon thoughtfully noted that he would never have thought that his father and Irena would be involved in such a story, where the basis of the body is the power of the god who lifted the curse. Rouge slowly walks away, and the demon asks him in surprise where he is going. He calmly replies that he is going to sleep and asks to wake him up later, showing absolute indifference to what is happening around him. The demon asks in despair how they can now deal with the power of God, which seems invincible. But Rouge, leaving, indifferently remarks that he is not at all interested in dealing with this question. Left alone, the demon makes a hoarse sound as he watches the door close behind the Lord. He feels powerless and abandoned, not knowing how to proceed in this situation. Despite his despair, the demon suddenly changes his tone, declaring that they will first deal with the power of the gods and then deal with the boy named Zeke. In a rage, he curses Rouge, calling him a crazy bastard. The demon, filled with anger and determination, screams that he will kill Zeke. He declares that the newborn army of the demon lord will definitely destroy him, resounding with a loud, mad laugh. The action moves to the backyard of the veterinary castle, where completely different, peaceful events are taking place. Here the atmosphere is filled with silence and calm, unlike the scene before. A lavish picnic is being prepared in the backyard, baskets of sandwiches, snacks, and desserts. Someone admires how delicious the food looks, and another asks if Mint prepared all this. The girl explains that she usually prepares such dinners every day exclusively for her brother. However, today she is ready to treat everyone, although usually only he has the right to eat it. During the conversation, the guy tells that he invites someone to lunch every day, creating a friendly atmosphere around him. Tiffany admires this, envying such a kind custom. Kai-chan crosses her arms and asks thoughtfully what's so special about a packed lunch. She adds a little haughtily that she can do the same if she wants. In response to this, Mint reminds her of a past incident where she tried to feed her brother dead mice and lizards. Remembering this awkward situation, Kai-chan becomes angry, and the people around her react with humor and slight awkwardness. The guy tries to soften the situation, saying that each species has its own preferences in food. The animal confesses its love for rats and wonders why Zeke does not share her tastes. He, a little embarrassed, continues to maintain a friendly atmosphere. Despite the previous misunderstanding, the girl decides not to lag behind and enthusiastically declares that she will learn how to cook delicious dinners. Others support her initiative, happily anticipating future culinary successes. During the picnic, the conversation turns to the topic of studies. The boy is surprised by the change of topic, and his sister is about to tell him something important about schoolwork. Everyone in the group listens attentively. The girl reports that Elena often visits the library, where she enthusiastically studies various materials. The guy is surprised by such enthusiasm, because he had not previously noticed such an interest in learning in her. T asks if Elena lives in his country, reminding him that she is the princess of the demon nation. T confirms this, adding that she lives with her father, emphasizing their close bond. The guy notes that since Elena has started to take an interest in new things and learn, it is already a good sign. He also mentions that he previously helped free their family from the founder's curse, which changed their fate. Meanwhile, Mint remembers Elena studying hard in the library. Although her eagerness pleases those around her, there is a worried look in her eyes which is noticed by the girl watching her. The hero looks thoughtfully into the distance, slightly frowning. He is immersed in his thoughts, analyzing the situation and considering further actions. His gaze is filled with slight anxiety and curiosity. Not far from the main character's castle, there is a huge tree spreading its branches over the entire area. A quiet forest stretches around, and in the distance the outlines of the castle and mountains are visible. Elena sits on a thick tree branch holding a book in her hands. She reads silently, completely immersed in the text. The silence around her is broken only by the rustling of leaves. The girl, sighing slightly tiredly, closes her eyes, tearing herself away from reading for a moment. Her face expresses a mixture of sadness and thoughtfulness, as if she is thinking about something important. Suddenly her peace is disturbed. The main character unexpectedly appears behind her. The girl screams in surprise, her face is filled with fear, and the book almost flies out of her hands. Losing her balance from fear, the girl falls down from a high branch, her hair and dress fluttering in the air, and her facial expression is filled with fear and panic. The hero manages to catch her deftly, landing on the ground in a not quite standard pose. He holds the girl tightly so that she does not receive any damage. In his arms is a frightened but already somewhat calmed down girl. The hero apologizes for the fright with a slight smile, and she, embarrassed, replies that everything is fine. They talk, and the hero reveals that he can determine the location of people within a radius of 500 meters, thanks to his abilities, probably related to the power of a god. The girl looks down and agrees with his words. Her face expresses slight embarrassment and recognition that this is indeed how things are. After the guy notices the book, he is surprised by the contents and asks if she has read the medical textbook. His interest is piqued by the girl's reaction, who clearly did not expect him to pay attention to this. He admits that he heard about her diligent studies and is interested in the reason for such persistent training. The girl is a little embarrassed, not knowing how to answer his question correctly. The girl lowers her gaze and admits that she is not capable of either combat or magic. Her words are full of sadness because her lack of talent does not allow her to be useful like others. The guy thinks about her confession and remains silent. He doesn't immediately find what to say, trying to comprehend her situation and find words of support. He invites her to talk and says that he is ready to listen to her. The girl thanks him for his support, demonstrating her appreciation for the opportunity to open up. The girl tells of her origins, that she is the daughter of a demon lord. This explains why great powers were initially expected of her. She recalls that despite her high position, she had no talents and her loved ones left her one after another. In the end, she was left all alone. The girl remembers how the other demons around her openly mocked her, not hiding their smirks. Her childhood was filled with humiliation and loneliness. The guy sympathizes with her and notices how terrible everything she went through was. It's hard for him to realize that the girl was forced to hide her pain all this time. The girl admits that she does not have the qualities necessary to lead the demon tribe. The guy calmly replies that in her situation this is not surprising. The demon princess explains that when her father fell ill, she saw it as a chance to prove herself and prove her usefulness. She hoped that if she could cure her father, she would be able to attract attention and recognition again. The situation, however, turned out differently. Her attempts to cope with the disease were not successful. Gradually, her situation worsened and the influence of her enemies grew. Eventually, Jammer removed her from command of the army and she remained only a decorative princess. The interlocutor listens silently to her confession, looking closely at her face without interrupting. His expression shows sympathy and understanding. He realizes the full weight of her experiences. The girl continues to share her feelings, confessing her own disappointment and sense of uselessness. She lacks both the medical knowledge and political skills to meet the high expectations of her family. The guy reassures her, saying that not everyone has the talent to govern a country. He himself would not have been able to overcome the curse without the help of divine power, and some things simply cannot be changed by the efforts of one person. The girl thanks him for his support and conversation, noting that it has become a little easier for her to speak out. He, in turn, advises her not to give in to self-pity, making it clear that she is not alone in her difficulties. The heroine smiles and admits that she really felt better after the frank conversation. At the same time, she apologizes for distracting him with her worries and problems. The guy is silent for a while, considering her words. His silence reflects the seriousness of the moment and the desire to find the right words for further support. Suddenly, with unexpected seriousness, he declares that politics is not his area at all. Thus, he shows that he does not consider himself a suitable role model in matters of power. However, he immediately offers his help in what he is really good at: medical knowledge. The girl reacts to this offer with surprise, realizing that a new opportunity is opening up before her. After his unexpected announcement to become her teacher, the guy confirms his decision with a smile, offering Elaine to become his student, and she only asks again in surprise, trying to comprehend what is happening. The training begins and the mentor announces the start of lessons. Elena, having already made her decision, responds energetically, calling him master, and enthusiastically prepares for her first lessons under his guidance. Meanwhile, the three mints T and Che discuss what is happening. One of them informs the others that Zeke has taken Elena as an apprentice, which causes some surprise and curiosity among those around him. Zeke's younger sister is surprised by her brother's decision because he is a veterinarian and does not hide her surprise that her brother decided to train someone, especially in such an unexpected role. Che notes with doubt that Elena does not look like a veterinarian at all, which emphasizes the unusualness of what is happening and further increases the atmosphere of surprise among them. Meanwhile, Mint assures that he can teach Elena many useful things. He suggests starting from the very basics, emphasizing the importance of gradual learning. Zeke enthusiastically announces that he will start training with the basics of rock climbing, which surprises the others even more, because they expected a completely different approach to the learning process. Against the backdrop of a cliff, Zeke explains his methodology. Instead of theory, he wants to start with practical skills. His sister taunts him, thinking he's a bad teacher, but he sticks to his guns. Zeke demonstrates to Elena exactly how to start climbing a rock. He takes an easy jump and leads by example, showing confidence and a hands-on approach to teaching. Zeke is seen climbing the rock with skill and energy, showing that his method is based on physical practice rather than standard theoretical lessons. Elena looks up at the mountain in wonder and awe, realizing the difficulty of the task ahead. Behind her, one of the girls watches her reaction, sharing her mild amazement. Zeke jumps down from the mountain, landing next to the girls, demonstrating his determination to begin training. His gesture attracts the attention of everyone present, emphasizing the seriousness of the beginning of the training. The guy hands Elaine some object. The girl looks at him with slight surprise, not fully understanding what he is going to show her, but is already ready to accept the knowledge. In the palm of Zeke's hand lies a rare flower, the snowdrop of Hina, which grows exclusively above 800 meters. He explains that this plant helps remove worms from gar and it can be used in veterinary practice. Zeke explains that a veterinarian needs to be able to obtain a variety of ingredients, sometimes even having to climb to great heights to cure monsters that get into hard-to-reach places. Elena, having listened attentively to the explanations, nods. She increasingly understands the complexity of the profession and the responsibility it takes on. Inspired, Elena takes off and uses magic to fly up to get the ingredient she needs. Zeke, noticing her rush, immediately calls out to her and stops her. The guy sternly reminds her that magical intervention can disrupt the natural balance and scare away the animals. He insists that the girl rises by herself and does not use magic, explaining the importance of practical skills. Confused, Elena repeats her teacher's words to herself, her face expressing concern, because until now she was used to relying on magic, not physical effort. Looking at the rock, she doubtfully wonders if she can climb using only her hands. There is confusion in her voice as this method of climbing is unfamiliar and frightening to her. They all stand in front of the rock, looking at it with slight confusion and thought, pondering how to cope with the task at hand. Elena tries to climb the rock, but she fails. She falls down several times. Meanwhile, the mentor calmly watches her attempts. After unsuccessful attempts, the teacher announces that the next part of the training will take place on the shore to change the environment and the task. He points to a small island and asks Elaine to imagine that there is a wounded unicorn lying there, and asks what she would do in such a situation. Elena realizes that magic cannot be used, which somewhat surprises her companions. They realize that the task is more difficult than it seemed. After some thought, Elena suggests that in that case she would try to swim to the island on her own, without magic. Zeke asks Kai-chan to show an example of how to properly cross the water so that Elena can better understand the essence of the task. Kai-chan confidently agrees, emphasizing that she is an excellent swimmer and will easily complete the task, raising the group's morale. Elena is surprised by Kai-chan's sudden agility. She jumps into the water and begins to swim confidently. But suddenly, something happened to her and she suddenly screams. In the water, Kai-chan encounters small water creatures that begin to hinder her swimming. They cling to her, creating additional difficulty. Elena watches the lake with concern as bubbles rise from the water. Suddenly, a scream is heard from Kai-chan, who seems to have gotten into trouble in the water. Elena calls out to her friend, trying to figure out what's going on. Zeke calmly explains the situation to Elaine. The lake is inhabited by kelpies and it is very dangerous to swim in it. At the same time, Kai-chan, who had already climbed out onto the shore after the incident, indignantly shouts that everything was much worse than he describes. An irritated Kai-chan reproaches Zeke. He knew that it would end like this, but he still asked her to go into the water. Zeke calmly notes that he expected more careful behavior. He hoped that she would simply go into the water and not jump in. Kai-chan, sitting on the shore in wet clothes and rubbing her head, complains about the unpleasant experience in the lake. Her irritation is clearly visible on her face, and she makes it clear that the interaction with the Kelpie was very unpleasant. The Kelpies have been acting up lately. Kai-chan, not wanting Elena to feel guilty, brushes off the apology, assuring her that everything is fine. Elena, covering her face with her hands, begins to self-flagellate, calling herself a terrible princess who can't even handle her own subjects. Kai-chan, in response, tries to calm her down, shifting the blame onto Zeke. Kai-chan ponders over what happened and comes up with an unexpected version. In her opinion, perhaps Zeke deliberately arranged the whole situation to see her wet, and now she doubts his intentions. Mint suggests leaving Che alone before she says anything more awkward, but Kai-chan is adamant that if Zeke wants to see her in action, she'll show him everything herself. A bitter rivalry develops between the two girls. Kai-chan accuses her rival of being jealous of her adult charms, and she in turn assures him that she is using her intelligence to attract her brother's attention. Zeke, watching their squabble, smiles and notes that the girls, despite their constant quarrels, actually get along well with each other. The girls themselves, surprised, ask him what he just said. Back on the beach, Zeke says everything is fine with a small smile. He doesn't seem too worried about the difficulties they just encountered and is calm for the next task. He continues, asking Elaine what she would do in a similar situation. Judging by his expression, he clearly expects some reasoning or guesswork, making her think. She muses out loud that if magic doesn't work and swimming doesn't help, then the situation becomes a difficult one. Princess T backs her up, calling it a real mystery. Zeke approves of their train of thought and, laughing, confirms that they are on the right track. He is clearly pleased that the girls are beginning to analyze what is happening on their own. He decides not to torment them for long and to tell them his correct answer. Turning around, he leaves, leaving a short and laconic explanation. Walking. After these words, the main character simply starts walking right on the water. This slightly puzzles the girls since such a simple answer seems unexpected. Zeke tells the girls that because there are kelpies in the water, the situation is more complicated. So to get to the island, they need to just walk on water. The girls standing on the shore, looking at him in confusion, ask him how he is going to walk on water without using magic. Zeke turns around with an innocent expression, as if he himself is surprised by their reaction. The main character shows the girls how he puts his foot in the water and then takes it step by step until one foot starts to sink. He just keeps walking. The girls watch this with mild annoyance. One of them notes that her brother is a bad teacher, and the other regrets that she asked the question at all, seeing the absurdity of the explanation. Finally, a dialogue flares up. Zeke asks why not, to which he receives a sharp answer from Kai-chan that only he can do this. The girls are irritated by his unique abilities. Elena is determined she is going to try to walk on water despite the difficulty of the task. The girls behind her try to stop her, telling her not to take her brother's words too seriously, but she is determined. Enthusiastically shouting out that this is her challenge, Elena takes a running start and leaps across the surface of the water. Her leaps make a loud thumping sound as she rushes forward, as if she were about to rush into battle. To everyone's surprise, Elena successfully stays afloat. She joyfully shouts about her victory, and in response, she hears surprised exclamations from the others who did not expect such a result. Tiffany marvels at Elena's success, assuming it's because Zeke taught her. Mint, less confidently, tries to explain that this isn't quite true. Suddenly, it is revealed that Elena is actually jumping on the heads of the kelpies that have floated to the surface. The demon princess exclaims in surprise, realizing that it is not magic that is helping her, but the creatures themselves. The kelpies themselves happily congratulate Elena on her success, calling her a princess and celebrating her achievement. Meanwhile, the kelpies clearly do not mind such interaction. Elena, somewhat embarrassed, asks the kelpies if they are helping her. In response, one of them confirms with a smile they are ready to do everything for her. The kelpies smile happily, explaining that they are just having fun and enjoying helping. They are happy to see how happy Elena is, and they enjoy it. Zeke, watching the scene, remarks that the monsters don't seem to hate Elena as much as they might, to which she briefly confirms his words, agreeing. The kelpies happily inform the princess that their minds are now clear, having been clouded before. They are happy that she is all right and greet her with kind words. After discussing the past curse, Zeke suggests that the mind-bending of the monsters was either an ancient curse or due to the Jammer's influence. Now that it's gone, things will improve. The boy explains that now that the curse is lifted, the princess has the opportunity to establish contact with the kelpies. He also notes that perhaps this is the same reason she was previously avoided in the castle. The princess calmly agrees with his words. It is clear that she is thinking about the reasons for what happened, and these words confirm her own guesses. The kelpies greet the princess joyfully, saying that they are happy to meet her. In return, the princess thanks them and says that she is also pleased to establish contact. Zeke adds that the princess no longer needs to hold back her magic, and he is confident that she will be better at communicating with the creatures than he is. One of the kelpies, looking at the doctor with admiration, asks him for an autograph. He agrees with a smile, not seeing any problem in it. The doctor begins to gather information and asks what the kelpies' names are. They answer that they do not have individual names, they are all just kelpies. The doctor is slightly surprised, but the princess explains that it is not customary for kelpies to give themselves individual names. It is their collective peculiarity. Zeke's younger sister adds that it is generally uncommon for magical creatures to have personal names. The doctor, hearing this, nods. Now everything is clear to him. Deciding to add some variety, the doctor begins to come up with names for them to his taste. Baby Kelpie, Beautiful Kelpie, Kelpina, but those around him consider this a bit too much. Zeke notes with restraint that all they know how to do is criticize him. The other characters respond in a friendly manner. The name he gave is easy for kids to remember, some even like it, and the sister adds that her brother has his weaknesses. Zeke suddenly notices something strange and turns around in amazement. He looks ahead with surprise and alarm, trying to comprehend what is happening, his gaze directed upwards to where something unexpected is unfolding. Newly named kelpies appear before Zeke, glowing with divine light as they transform into majestic mermaid-like creatures, completely changing their previous form. The heroes look at the creatures that have appeared in amazement. Zeke, looking at them, asks a question, recognizing the familiar features of a kelpie. Everyone stands in tension, watching the unexpected transformation. One of the new creatures thanks Zeke for the name, explaining that it has caused them to undergo an existential evolution, completely changing their essence and gaining a new form of existence. The creature promises to be even more useful for Zeke and the princess. His face expresses sincere gratitude and devotion, emphasizing the seriousness of his commitment to serve his saviors. The girls are delighted to discuss what has happened, noting how divine the kelpies' figures have become. They admire the result that no one expected, amazed at the grandeur of the creature's new form. Tiffany exclaims with delight about the miracle that happened just because Zeke gave the creatures names. For her, this is an amazing discovery that turns the usual understanding of magical creatures upside down. The protagonist's younger sister jokingly reminds him that Zeke gave Kai-chan her name too. She asks again in confusion, until the meaning of what was said slowly dawns on her because she didn't expect it. Kai-chan angrily accuses Mint of bullying her again, who coolly remarks that no matter how much power her brother has, it all depends on the source material. The princess of the animal kingdom speaks thoughtfully about how Zeke has named someone else before, trying to remember who else he has named. She reminds him of this, looking away while the background depicts tense lines, creating a sense of impending importance. Zeke, hearing the address, looks up in surprise. His face expresses slight bewilderment, and his remark is filled with surprise and a question. He does not immediately understand to whom exactly this is addressed. Suddenly, a young girl jumps on Zeke and hugs him. The other characters watch this unexpected action. The scene is filled with dynamics, and Zeke is confused, trying to figure out who attacked him. She holds tightly to Zeke and looks at him with a serious expression. Her big eyes are full of emotion. In response, Zeke calls her by name in surprise, realizing who is in front of him. Above them, the figure of the Dragon Lord appears in the sky. Zeke looks up at him with slight surprise, not immediately believing that the Dragon Lord is in front of him. He soars majestically in the air and confirms his words, saying that he is indeed the Lord. When the Overlord descends to the ground, Zeke greets him by asking the reason for his appearance. The Overlord explains that it is time for an event to take place. The dragon explains that he has come for the sake of Shi's evolution. His voice is calm and confident, confirming his words. The characters listen attentively to his explanation. Zeke looks at Shi and remembers that he did indeed give her a name. His face expresses a slight smile, and he himself says it as if out loud, realizing the meaning of what he said. Zeke wondered if the girl could evolve so easily. The dragon began to explain that their kind, dragons, had much stronger magical vessels than most magical beasts. Even their small wings were much more developed than other creatures. Zeke, having listened to the explanation, calmly agrees. A slight smile appears on his face, and his remark sounds like he understands what is happening. There is peace all around. Zeke gently strokes Shi's head, noting that she was a cute little dragon but has now grown into a beautiful girl. He looks forward to continuing to work with her, genuinely enjoying her changes and growth. She looks up, her eyes shining with happiness and warmth. She feels Zeke's care and support, which makes her smile slightly. The touch of his hand is a sign of approval and confidence in the future. With a beaming smile, she tells Zeke that of course she agrees. She approves of his words and readily accepts his offer to continue working. Her face expresses joy and gratitude for the care shown. However, at this point, Chai and Mint begin to react anxiously. Mint, tense, tells Shi to stay away from him, and Kai-chan advises him to greet his elders first since she wants to join Zeke's entourage. Zeke, with a slight smile, wonders what happened to the girls, noticing their nervousness. At this time, the Lord laughs, noting that his presence puts pressure on those around him. She reacts with surprise when Zeke says that her evolution will be monitored, and is surprised to realize that Zeke is now in charge of her development, causing her to be slightly confused. Zeke reassures everyone, clarifying that they are not absolving themselves of responsibility for Shi, but that her growth requires stimulation, which he will do. Everyone understands the seriousness of the moment and agrees. Elena expresses happiness for Shi, genuinely pleased with her progress. Everyone in the scene continues to watch the scene, recognizing the significance of the moment for the little dragon. Shi, shyly clinging to Elena, confesses her sympathy. Elena is slightly taken aback by the surprise, but her face expresses joy and slight confusion in front of such sincere affection. The Overlord, observing the scene, notes that Shi's friendship with the demon princess is a result of her being close to Zeke. This development would not have been possible without his support and influence. Zeke is puzzled when asked if he has heard of Onigashima Island and replies that he has never heard of it. His interlocutor enthusiastically begins to talk about the place. The dragon explains that it is a picturesque little island in the southern seas filled with magic, and even mentions that there is a place where she can swim. Zeke is surprised to hear this. Zeke approaches Mint, asking if she knows anything about the island. Mint confirms that the place is known for its tourist routes and pilgrimages to so-called places of power. Mint adds that there have been some strange rumors lately that it's not safe there. Her face shows a slight concern as she shares this information. The dragon reassures he recently saw the island himself and assures that it is still calm and beautiful. Mint agrees, apologizing for his mistake because it is difficult to argue with an eyewitness. The dragon says he is sure that she will like the island and suggests that the group go there on their own if they wish. Mint agrees with the proposal, saying that a little separation would be good for Zeke and his tired brother. In the background, everyone eagerly accepts the news. Tiffany is excited about the upcoming trip. She happily says that everyone will go on a trip together and is already looking forward to this moment. They approach Elena and ask if she will go with them. She is surprised and a little embarrassed, asks if they are sure that she should join. T happily extends her hand to Elena, saying that they are friends and will have fun together. She invites her to join in the fun without hesitation. Elena asks again in surprise if she can really be their friend. Her eyes are full of emotion, as this is a new and exciting feeling for her. Zeke confidently says that he will continue to train Elena even on the trip because the training is not finished yet. Everyone else happily agrees with this decision. Happy and touched, Elaine, with tears of joy in her eyes, smiles and says that she agrees to go with them. Mild and She, with serious faces, warn Elena about the rules. No running away from their eyes, and they will need to keep an eye on each other at all times. Zeke tries to reason with them. The Dragon Lord makes the final decision about going to the island. He mentions that a boat or other means of transportation will be needed for the trip. However, he had taken care of transportation in advance, asking his friends to provide them with a means of transport. A huge dragon appears. Zeke thanks them for their help. As the team sets off, She happily bids farewell to her father, and Zeke confirms his readiness. The father smiles and asks to take care of She and have fun. The narrator concludes that She thus flew with Zeke and the others to Onigashima, the mysterious island in question. Onigashima in the castle. She asks again with concern because this place is associated with a certain danger. The advisor reports that the island is now a high-risk area due to a new species of magical beast and unstable conditions. The characters continue to discuss the situation on the island. Dragon Lord Elron, with a confident smile, says that he heard similar conversations from his acquaintances and saw the island himself, where he did not notice any unrest. Queen Sophia asks him to clarify the time, and he thinks, trying to remember this moment to give an exact answer. After that, the Dragon Lord remembers the last time he saw the island. With a wide smile, he states that it was a full 500 years ago because he is a dragon and time flows differently for him. His answer sounds like he doesn't see anything unusual in this. Elsewhere, Jammer is seen in a chef's outfit pushing a cart of food, wondering why he has been assigned this job. He goes and taunts the person he is carrying the food to, calling them a gourmet, and the food turns out to be quite unusual. The cook enters the steam room to give food to the shapeless substance of flesh. Seeing it from the side, he is surprised and tries not to attract attention. The monster has already acquired a human body, arms, and a head. He looks somewhere and angrily pronounces the name of Zeke. Suddenly, a huge king appears in a state of rage with a menacing face and bulging eyes. He shouts Zeke's name with anger, waving his arms threateningly and holding a plate. The group of heroes flies through the air. Zeke happily reports that he can already see the ground ahead, anticipating a quick landing. They see the outline of the mysterious island of Onigashima in the distance. One of the heroes asks if this is really the island they were heading to. After successfully arriving, the heroes thank the huge dragon for the transportation. He replies that it was no trouble for him to get them there. The dragon senses tension in the island's atmosphere. He warns the group to be careful, saying that he feels a strange unrest throughout the area. Zeke asks the dragon in surprise about the disturbance he felt on the island. Mint notices that the island does not have the atmosphere of a resort place as described by the Dragon King. She notes that something strange feels. The girls also notice a strange smell, but suddenly T notices something in the distance and draws the attention of the others. A silhouette appears in the forest, an unknown creature. Yu happily calls out to him, addressing him as a local of the island. The others also think that he is an islander. Suddenly, a frightening creature with horns and sharp teeth appears in front of them, causing shock to the entire company. The girls scream in horror from surprise. The creature lunges at them with a growl, frightening the entire group. Zeke quickly reacts by using paralysis magic and stops the attacker in midair. After successfully neutralizing the monster, Zeke asks the girls if they are okay, and they thank him for his help. Zeke looks closely at the monster lying in front of him and notices something strange about its condition. As Zeke gets closer, he turns to the others and notices the creature's blood, clearly analyzing it. Elena claims that she has never encountered such creatures in the army before. Mint of the group speculates, perhaps it is endemic to the island. Zeke uses his skill to begin examining the creature's blood sample. Showing a magnified image of the blood, Zeke asks Mint what she thinks about it. Mint notices something with surprise. The girl explains that they are looking at an enlarged image of the creature's blood and confirms Zeke's guess. Zeke explains that the visible changes are symptoms of the disease. Swelling is clearly visible. Princess T asks if the monster is sick. Zeke corrects her. It is not a monster but a man afflicted with a disease. Tiffany is surprised by Zeke's statement, and he, in turn, begins to cleanse the man of the disease. The man's face is distorted with shock as he sees the creature's hideous shell begin to abruptly deform. The monster's body gradually transforms, taking on a normal human appearance as if its hideous shell had been removed. The guy with short horns looks at his body in shock, not understanding what happened to him, and confusedly voices his thoughts. The protagonist smiles calmly and says that everything is fine now. The girls look at what is happening with surprise and relief. The guy introduces himself as Shizuo, a member of the Oni clan that lives on this island of Onigashima. He politely apologizes for the inconvenience. Tiffany is genuinely happy and says that she is happy to see him recovered from a serious illness. Shizuo is surprised to note that he thought his condition was caused not by an illness, but by some terrible curse. He thanks for saving him, and the protagonist explains that the cause of the condition was a virus, but he managed to cure it. Mint asks the demon if there are any more infected on the island. He confirms that the infection has spread to many of the island's inhabitants. The situation has become so serious that it threatens the destruction of the entire island. Shizuo begins to tell how Onigashima was once a peaceful island, its inhabitants remaining neutral and avoiding participation in wars. He says that such a peaceful way of life was on their island, until the day something happened a few months ago. The girl asks with concern in her voice what happened then, because everything seemed so peaceful and safe. Shizuo says with a serious face that something terrible appeared on the island that day, real evil. The girls ask again in surprise what he means by the word evil, not believing what they hear. Shizuo explains that this is what they called the monster that appeared then. It was a lump of flesh controlled by a certain old man. Shizuo then goes on to describe how the creature began to release toxic miasma into the air, filling the entire island. This miasma spread quickly, poisoning everything around, and no one in the city could escape its effects. Once under the influence of the miasma, people began to turn into terrifying, pale, uncontrollable zombies. The heroes are shocked by the memories of what happened. What they hear seems almost impossible. Shizuo continues with difficulty. Almost all the inhabitants who breathed in the miasma turned into people like him. About 90% of the island's population were infected and ceased to be themselves, losing their minds. Zeke realizes that it was precisely these poisonous miasmas that they saw from the sky when they were approaching the island. Kai-chan is horrified to realize that since the island is covered in miasma, it means that they are now breathing this contaminated air. She panics over the danger of becoming infected. She desperately asks Zeke to kill her beforehand if he decides to intervene in the situation so that she doesn't become a zombie like those demons. Shizuo confirms her fears. If they continue to inhale the miasma, their bodies will soon begin to decompose, turning into living corpses. Zeke calmly explains that perhaps it is because of his divine power that they are now protected. His power acts as a vaccine. Shizuo is shocked, calling Zeke's power a divine blessing, realizing the greatness of the protection they enjoy. Desperately, he begs Zeke to help. Falling to his knees, Shizuo calls him a messenger from heaven who can save the entire island. Zeke replies with a slight smile that from the very beginning he wanted to help the residents and save them from this disaster. The team supports Zeke's decision, noting with slight irony that they won't be able to rest again as they had hoped. Together, they decide to quickly deal with the problem so that they can finally go on vacation, as they had planned earlier. The heroes are brought to the central town hall of the local city. They are met by a woman named Sakura, the current owner of Onigashima. She greets the new arrivals with restraint but respect. Zeke and his crew sit before the lady of Onigashima Island. Shizuo informs her that this was the man who helped him. Sakura, the ruler of the island, says that rumors about Zeke have already spread throughout Onigashima, calling him the Demon Lord in White. Zeke smiles and is surprised that he has such a nickname. His companions are happy and think that it sounds pretty cool. Shizuo apologizes to Zeke for being rude, considering him special. But Zeke says it's okay, because in his state he couldn't do anything himself. Zeke clarifies Shizuo told him about the situation on the island. He assumes that the castle is a safe zone for all residents. Sakura confirms the pearl from the island creates protection from the smashes. However, it is already life-threatening outside the gates. Hearing this, Zeke notices that the situation is even worse than he imagined before this conversation. Outside, there are many infected who have turned into horrific zombies. Shizuo is glad that he brought them to safety. Alina thinks that these are terrible scenes for Shia's training. Sakura, hearing that Zeke was able to cure someone, is surprised and asks, is there really a cure? Zeke explains that he can cure the disease, but it's too early to go into the details. It's essentially an epidemic. The demons exclaim in complete amazement upon hearing about the possibility of reversing the disease. Their faces express disbelief and surprise because to them it sounds incredible. They did not expect to hear such encouraging words in such a desperate situation. Zeke calmly explains that he is not sure about reversing the disease completely, but the main thing is that he can cure everyone. Tiffany enthusiastically confirms his power, admiringly calling him magnificent. The demon that Zeke had saved earlier confirms that he was indeed a zombie, but was healed and is now normal again. He assures everyone that he can vouch for Zeke's words, adding confidence to the rest of the room. Sakura, hearing the demon's confession, is shocked and cannot immediately believe what is happening. She slowly realizes that everything he told her is true. This discovery turns her understanding of the disease and the possibilities of treatment upside down. The two elder demons admit that the mistress made the right decision by not allowing the infected to be destroyed. They believe that the long siege of the castle they were in was ultimately worth it. Now there is a chance to save everyone. Zeke, frowning slightly, clarifies what the advisors mean when they say the siege is right. He is interested in understanding their logic, because before this he did not know all the details of what was happening on the island and the decisions that were made here. The elders explain that they have not waged war against the zombies for 3 months. On the orders of the mistress, they refrained from killing, despite the threat. These words show that the mistress initially believed in the possibility of a different outcome. The girl asks in surprise if they were really under siege all this time, defending the castle. She wonders how they managed to survive in such a difficult and prolonged situation, surrounded by dangerous infected outside. The lady explains that they had no precise information about the zombies' condition. She says that many were either already dead or had completely lost their will, becoming mindless puppets of the disease. All they could do was defend themselves and wait. One of the demons turns to the lady, offering to voice a request. He says that perhaps only those who have arrived are able to provide them with the much-needed help, since they have the ability to heal the disease that has afflicted the island's inhabitants. The girls whisper admiringly, noting the kindness of the ruler. They are surprised by her gentleness and generosity, which is so rare among rulers. Sakura sadly admits that she was actually naive. Her decision to put things off was unwise and only made things worse. She blames herself for not being able to distinguish between what should be kept and what should be discarded. For a politician, such ignorance is a big mistake. Zeke, trying to cheer her up, points out that it was her kindness that brought people after her. He sees nothing wrong with that. The elder demons, hearing Zeke's words, are glad that he correctly understands why they are devoted to their ruler. Zeke gathers his courage and declares that now that he is here, everyone can relax. He will definitely heal everyone. At night, Zeke climbs to the roof of the castle to assess the situation. He peers out at the landscape, shrouded in toxic miasma. He uses his ability to analyze to scan the entire area. A picture of the infection opens up before him. Having discovered almost 3,000 infected, he understands the scale of the disaster. This is almost the entire population of the island. The others watch from below. His younger sister explains that Zeke is assessing the extent of the disease to determine a treatment. The lady and Shizuo are amazed by Zeke's abilities. They are amazed that he can cover the entire island at once, which seems incredible. Zeke's sister proudly confirms that of course he does. He is her brother. There is genuine pride in his talents in her voice. Zeke casts the spell Purification. The process of cleansing the infected from the disease begins, covering the entire territory with its effect. The infected zombies begin to come to their senses. Their bodies gradually return to normal and their faces express surprise and relief. Some of those who have been cured have difficulty comprehending what is happening. They are surprised by the return of their human form, hardly believing in their healing. Everyone who stood and watched Zeke heal were surprised that everyone was back to normal. Zeke wearily admits that the healing took a lot of effort from him. However, he is pleased that everyone is back to normal. The lady and her entourage thank Zeke for his help, amazed by the result. He easily jumps down, responding to their thanks. Smiling modestly, Zeke brushes off the praise. It's nothing special, he says, he just did what he could. Zeke asks if he can look at the crystal they talked about earlier. The lady immediately agrees without objecting to it. He approaches the crystal and touches it with his palm, intending to explore its properties and learn more about it. With the help of magic, Zeke strengthens the artifact, making it more powerful and suitable for further protection. Zeke explains that this enhanced artifact will now be able to protect not only the castle, but the entire island from new threats. Sakura and her entourage are surprised by what Zeke is capable of. Everyone present is amazed by what is happening. They admit that they now feel completely safe. Sakura thanks Zeke for his invaluable help, admitting that she does not know how to reward him for saving her. She reminds him that Zeke has come on vacation and offers to give him a full reception as a token of gratitude. She sheepishly offers to organize a holiday from the bottom of her heart if he is not against such a proposal. Zeke is slightly embarrassed by such an ambiguous proposal. However, Kai-chan and T suddenly interrupt their dialogue and do not allow them to get closer and demand that they keep a distance between them. Kai-chan states that Sakura does not have to bother about this. Sakura herself was very embarrassed and did not expect such a reaction to her words from the girls. Meanwhile, Elena smiles, admitting that she now understands how the other girls felt when they saw their new rival. Mint supports her words and she looks at the girls with confusion. Shizuo runs up to his mistress and advises her to be careful so that she can be more careful while seducing the young man with her behavior. She shyly replies that she only wanted to show them the island. Zeke laughs and says that everything is calm now. He literally glows with happiness. He is sincerely glad that he was able to cure the inhabitants of the island. All he has to do is figure out the source of the infection. Suddenly, one of the elder demons screams and asks the lady to look outside. Something happened there that has greatly disturbed him. Everyone becomes wary. The heroes go out onto the balcony and look at the sky. They are amazed and frightened by what they see. The characters watch as a strange creature approaches them from afar. Everyone stares intently at the approaching demon, not understanding what is happening. The demon materializes again, causing everyone to be surprised and alarmed. The protagonist quickly reports that the island has been cleared and the artifact is holding back the energy. But not everything is so simple. The threat has not yet been completely eliminated. Che is disgusted by the sight of this demon. Some begin to notice the strange behavior of the creature. It behaves differently than last time, which causes concern among those present. The demon rumbles and makes strange sounds, its body deforming, as if it is trying to transform into something new and more dangerous. Suddenly, an arm begins to emerge from the demon. It suddenly bursts out with a powerful jerk, tearing apart space. It begins to grow human limbs and its form begins to transform. A powerful man in a robe and crown appears before everyone's eyes. Everyone is amazed. This is a new, even more dangerous enemy. It soon becomes clear that this is not just a demon but Rogel himself. He addresses Zeke, stating how much he missed him. Raugel's name in amazement, not believing his own eyes. The other heroes look on in complete shock. The girls confirm with horror, yes, it is the king of Jatania, Rogel, only his appearance has changed greatly. Che remembers that Rogel used to be much fatter and stockier. Everyone is amazed at how much he has changed. Zeke is sure that the crown and beard prove that this is Rogel. Rogel greets Zeke happily, saying that he didn't expect to see him in such a place. His voice sounds strange and his eyes are filled with an ominous energy, causing concern among those present. The crowd is confused. What happened to Rogel? Mint notes that perhaps he became a demon due to some evil magic absorbing his essence. Someone praises Mint for her guess, saying that she is quite smart for a human. His words are full of mockery and sarcasm, creating a tense atmosphere between the parties. Irina recognizes the voice of the one who spoke. Suddenly, another figure appears, Jammer. he materializes dramatically next to Raugel, emitting a powerful aura that makes everyone wary and prepare for the worst. Jammer mocks Irina. He reminds her how easily she turned to humans when her father lost his power as a demon lord. His words are full of contempt. Zeke tries to restrain Irina. He asks her not to give in to provocations because now it is important to keep her cool. Irina barely restrains her emotions but retreats. Jammer continues to be sarcastic. He himself believes that he has the right to say you again because it is Zig, in his opinion, who appears at the wrong time. Everyone looks at him with bewilderment and tension. Jammer finally explains Rogel is a vessel for summoning a demon. His body has been captured and is now being used in dark rituals. He smiles, enjoying the confusion of those around him. He confesses that he summoned the demon himself using forbidden magic. Now he has subdued it and can use the power of the great demon Payman at will. Rogel suddenly strikes Jammer, proving his willpower. The demon is unable to dodge the powerful blow. An angry Rogel interrupts Jammer's chatter, showing that he is not susceptible to his words and provocations. Someone from the main characters group makes fun of Jammer. He is upset and insulted and tells the one who is making fun of him to shut up. Rogel exclaims that he only wants Zeke and is completely uninterested in the rest of Jammer's words. Jammer is amazed that Rogel, having merged with a demon, still retains incredible willpower and resists. Zeke and his sister come to the conclusion that Rogel has become a victim of a parasitic demon that has taken over his body. With a determined look, Zeke declares that he has a personal score to settle with this demon. However, despite everything, he reminds that Rogel is still his patient, which means he is obliged to help. The demon recognizes Zeke's voice, shouting his name. His surprise turns to tension. Zeke calmly but firmly points to himself, preparing to intervene and further confrontation. The character looks at his opponent with a menacing smile. He smirks and his eyes show readiness for a fight. Rogel mockingly asks Zeke if he really wanted to be alone with him on purpose. Zeke calmly replies that it's not quite like that. On the hillside, his comrades are worried because the enemy is a demon, but Zeke assures them that he can handle it alone, asking them not to worry. Rogel admits that looking at Zeke brings back memories of the past. Their paths are too intertwined. He remembers that he used to feel only anger towards him. Rogel wonders, what does Zig have that he didn't have? Why did people turn their backs on him and follow the vet? Zig remains silent, not answering this difficult question. His face remains impassive. But Rogel finds his answer: power. A new powerful energy begins to awaken in his body. He realizes wealth, power are nothing without strength. Only strength gives true power and respect of others. The protagonist remembers how Rogel ruled, how he treated his subjects with contempt. The hatred of the people was justified towards their former king. Rogel, filled with demonic power, furiously attacks Sieg, shouting about his right to lead the people and accept the power of darkness for his own power. Sieg calmly notes that it will not be possible to negotiate with him, continuing his notes as if ignoring the enraged enemy rushing towards him. The king delivers a powerful blow, creating a stream of energy around himself, but suddenly his fist is stopped by an invisible barrier before reaching its target. Rugil is in shock, his eyes widen, not believing what is happening and the impossibility of breaking through the defense. Zig calmly notes that the demon's influence has reached Rugel's brain, making his speech incoherent and clouding his memory, recording his observations in a notebook. Rugil is shocked. He cannot believe that his crushing blow was survived by this man, so inconspicuous at first glance. Zig asks Rugil to state his name. He laughs and replies that there is no need because his name is already known to everyone. Rugil proudly calls himself Rugil III, the king of the kingdom of Jatania, showing off an ugly demonic hand with an eye. Zig, writing down what he heard, states that the patient's consciousness is fine. He enjoys the diagnostics the old way, as in the old days. Rugil furiously remembers how everything used to be fine before Sieg supposedly destroyed everything, and again rushes into the attack, consumed by anger. There is a loud explosion. Rugil is trying to attack the main character again with a hail of powerful blows, and Zeke stands unperturbed, calmly repelling the attacks of his opponent. Those watching from afar begin to wonder. One of them suggests that his brother is simply conducting an inspection, trying to remain calm. Rogel stares at Sieg in amazement, not believing the power he sees. He is amazed at how calmly he stands before the demonic force, showing no fear. Realizing that there is no other way to achieve results, Rogel decides to take action and launches a new attack, increasing his onslaught. With a loud cry and full of determination, Rogel charges forward, showing his growing rage and desire to win at any cost. He begins to scream as he is overwhelmed by demonic power. He unleashes his full demonic power, revealing his expanded wings and many eyes. This is his true king power. Zeke watches him calmly and comes to the conclusion. In front of him is not just an infected person, but a full-fledged parasitic demon that has completely subjugated the host. Preparing for a response, Zeke performs a palm strike, intending to repel the enemy's attack in one precise move. This strike cuts off one of the demon's wings. Rogel is completely confused. The king looks at his opponent in amazement. He does not understand how he can stand before such a demonic force without showing the slightest fear or excitement. The doctor says "oop" easily and casually, as if summing up his actions. He continues to attack the demon. The remaining energy around him fades away. Rogel is shocked to find himself defenseless, standing amidst the fading remains of his former powers. Realization quickly hits him. Rogel is eventually left powerless, levitating in complete shock. He's just beginning to realize what just happened to them. The hero says that's it. He finishes his series of attacks, standing with a smile and complete calm after the entire fight. A tiny demon payment is twitching comically on Rogel's head. The king calls him by name in confusion, not understanding what has happened. The doctor suddenly approaches, startling Rogel. The king jumps, not expecting such an appearance and reacting sharply to his voice. The hero, without losing his composure, speaks of the final touch and with a light movement of his finger neutralizes the parasite, eliminating it once and for all. The disarmed demon flies up. The king watches in a daze, realizing the complete defeat of his demonic essence. The parasite slowly rises into the air. The observers watch it in silence until the creature disappears completely from their sight. The demon's small body falls down, spinning in the air and taking on its natural form. He lands on the ground with a soft thud, finally losing his strength. Rogel comes to and the doctor greets him joyfully. "Oh, you're awake, old man," and confirms that he is now himself again. King Rogel, having fallen to the ground, barely regains consciousness. His face expresses extreme confusion. He cannot find words. Gradually, the emotions that surge in take over, and he begins to cry loudly, not holding back his feelings. Those watching from the side only note his tears. Jammer is shocked by what he sees, realizing that Payman's incredible power, enhanced by the human lust for power, has been neutralized with frightening ease. Zeke turns his attention to Jammer, turning his attention to the new enemy. It becomes clear to the enemy, now it's his turn. Jammer is overcome with panic and curses what is happening. He understands that the situation is taking a dangerous turn for him. Not wanting to give up, he summons a powerful creature, a huge skeletal dragon. He wants to wipe out his opponent with one blow. However, Zeke remains calm. He activates the cleansing magic, directing it at the summoned monster, feeling neither fear nor doubt. Under the spell, the dragon is radically transformed, turning from a frightening monster into a benevolent and cute creature. Jammer is stunned. He can't believe his eyes as he watches a dangerous creature become a harmless patient. Zeke, as an experienced doctor, is pleased with the successful outcome of the treatment and wonders if there are still those who need urgent help. Meanwhile, another scene participant quips, reminding Jammer that one dragon was clearly not enough against Zeke. The hero looks decisively towards the enemy, taking control of Jammer, as if hinting that he will take the next step himself. Jammer escapes from the battlefield using teleportation magic. The whole team finally returns to the main character, and they exchange words about how a barrier against teleportation would not hurt after all. One of the girls explains that Jammer is a very strong opponent, to whom even she and her father once lost. Another chides Zeke for often judging things by his own strengths without considering how much harder things are for everyone else. Mint says that's the beauty of her brother. She tells, humorously and sheepishly, how it took her 3 years to develop the magic pattern, and he immediately found a way to improve it. Zeke laughs and suggests dropping the question, not wanting to continue the conversation about his own achievements. At this time, a little girl consoles a crying Rogel, who sits hugging his knees in a distressed state. Zeke looks at what is happening thoughtfully, not knowing what to do with the defeated enemy now. Rogel's lying on the ground, repents of what happened, and admits his guilt to Zeke. The heroes watch the king, who after the purification looks renewed and calm, as if freed from a burden. The king admits that he used to think of Zeke as a worthless slacker who wasted his energy caring for animals. Now, having realized the true power of the protagonist, he regrets his past judgments and is amazed by Zeke's hidden abilities. Zeke sheepishly replies that this is not entirely true, trying to modestly deflect the praise. Mint distracts his brother from the dialogue with the defeated king. They have some kind of mental connection and they understand each other without words. The king continues to apologize, saying that Zeke could have used his power for a great future, but chose the family business. He admits his mistakes, stating that as a former king, he is willing to take responsibility for the past. Zeke replies that it is all behind him, showing his forgiveness and kindness to the repentant king. The king, touched by the forgiveness, cannot hold back his tears, feeling great relief. He exclaims that now, finally, everything has ended well, clinging to Zeke in a burst of gratitude. Tiffany is glad that everything ended with a happy ending. One of the companions muses on how the demon's cleansing could have affected the king's heart, changing it. Zeke notes that he would not use force to forcefully change consciousness, even if it were possible. Che apologizes for even thinking about such atrocity. He comforts Kai-chan by telling her that he knows she has a kind heart and she apologizes to him. The heroes laugh with relief, discussing that if a truly strong enemy appears, they will have to act decisively and deal with it. Sakura approaches them, turning to Zeke and addressing him. She thanks them for saving their island from impending disaster and threats. Zeke smiles and says that it may have been an accident, but admits that without their intervention, the consequences could have been tragic. Thinking out loud, he admits that it was not a coincidence, but some higher plan or destiny. The people around them support this idea, considering their meeting as predetermined by fate, and Sakura is even slightly embarrassed. Sia says that the meeting of Zeke and Sakura is fateful, which greatly embarrasses Sakura. Kai-chan silences Shia so she won't say too much. She shows her jealousy. Mint interrupts them, saying that it's finally over. She has already changed into her beach clothes. She hopes that her brother will finally be able to take a vacation, so that he can have a proper rest. She hopefully adds that perhaps they will have a chance to be alone, much to the surprise of the others. Meanwhile, everyone notices that Zeke has disappeared. He sees Sakura offering to take him to a sacred place. She holds his hand and says that she can take him to many important places since she is from the royal family. The sister notices with alarm that she has a dangerous rival, and the other girls run ahead, arguing about justice. The characters are having fun on the beach. One of the girls energetically proclaims her arrival at the sea, expressing delight at the holiday. The atmosphere is carefree and festive. They discuss their vacation, and the girl in the swimsuit explains that now is the time to relax and enjoy. The others are surprised by her frivolous beach clothes. Chai notes that only Mint prepares for a vacation like this. At that moment, T, Irena, and Je come running, all in swimsuits. The heroines are delighted by the beautiful views of the sea, enjoying nature. The girl with the ears explains that she used magic to change her clothes and appearance. The others admire her abilities, noting how convenient it is to be a sorceress. Another heroine says that she can also change the shape of clothes by manipulating threads. Cha is a little upset, deciding to just play with the shells. The threads suddenly activate and begin to envelop Kai-chan. She is frightened by what is happening, not understanding what is happening to her clothes. The dress takes on a new look, but now both girls look the same. Despite the awkwardness, the heroine thanks her friend for her help, happy with the result. Meanwhile, Sakura, in Zeke's arms, admires the spiritual path and the powerful magical energy of the place, while Che is very indignant. A small quarrel occurs between the heroes because of jealousy. One heroine reproaches the other for constantly trying to take everything for herself. The guy calmly replies that it all happened by accident because of the slippery ground. Che annoyedly tells the guy that he doesn't understand women at all. Sia suddenly felt a strange energy, stopping in the middle of the road. Everyone turned their attention to her, waiting for an explanation of what was happening. Irina cautiously asked her what happened and what she felt. The characters approached a high mountain on top of which a temple was visible. Sakura explained that this was a sacred place dedicated to the divine protector of the royal family. The test that lay ahead was called the Peaches Test. They found themselves at a massive gate that emanated a strong magical aura. Irene asked if ordinary people were allowed to enter. Zeke explained that with an escort, entry was open, but there were some restrictions. Sakura explained that only Sia would pass the test and no one had the right to interfere. Even Zeke and the rest of the friends were only required to observe the process. The participants were only required to remain silent and calm. Before entering the sanctuary, Zeke encouraged Sia, assuring her that she would succeed. The others also supported her with warm words and gestures of support. Sia, gathering her strength, nodded resolutely in response. The group approached the cave itself in front of a huge sacred altar. Sakura sternly asked everyone to remain silent so as not to disturb the ritual. The atmosphere was filled with tense anticipation before the ritual began. Sakura began the ritual folding her hands in a prayer pose. A powerful vortex of magical energy swirled around, shining with flashes of light. Her call sounds, she calls Princess Peach to come to them. With a swirling flow of energy, a majestic figure appeared in the clouds. Princess Peach appeared before everyone, seated on a throne amidst the swirling mist. Sia and Irene stood in awe as they looked at the impressive scene. Princess Peach glanced at the assembled group, noticing that the ceremony was still far away. She turned to Sakura, wanting to know why they had come now. Her gaze remained calm and confident, waiting for an explanation. Sakura politely explained that they had come to ask for the princess's blessing. The rest of the ceremony participants lined up behind, silently watching the proceedings. Everyone respectfully awaited her response to her request. The princess interrupts the conversation and decides that she will figure out what is going on herself, showing confidence in her abilities. Everyone falls silent, watching her, waiting for her decision. Zeke and the others follow the developments with interest. Princess Peach assesses the assembled party, noting that this time there is not a single rude person among the guests, unlike in previous cases. Princess Peach sets her sights on the Dragon Princess. Sia confirms Princess Peach's guess, explaining that her evolution requires the special magic of this island, recommended by King Elrond himself. Princess Peach thinks out loud. Although she was underestimated, it would be an honor and an interesting thing for her to do a favor for the dragon race. Noticing the remark about his scary nature, the deity agrees with a smile and calls on Chai to prepare for the test, which she is very scared of. The princess remembers the delicacy that usually accompanies such rituals, wondering if everything is ready. Sia takes out the cooked rice balls, Princess Momo's favorite treat, causing her to be delighted. Momo jokingly complains that she is so easily lured with a treat, and her friends point out that this always happens. She admits that she had previously simply given out ridiculous tasks, but with a dragon child, she had to be very careful. The princess smiles brightly, noticing the reactions of those around her, and says that she has an idea. Meanwhile, Zhe and her friends begin to argue about how Zhe is already an adult and not a child, emphasizing their readiness for the upcoming test. The princess throws the unusual vessel into the air with a slight movement of her hand, demonstrating that she has everything prepared. She looks at Zhe and her friends with excitement, anticipating further developments, and exclaims cheerfully. With a glass in her hand, the princess smiles broadly and invites everyone to drink together. Her mood is playful and friendly, but behind this lightheartedness there is a hint of the test she has in mind for Zhe. Zhe looks at the princess in surprise and responds to the unexpected offer of a drink with a question. There is uncertainty in her eyes and an attempt to comprehend what kind of test awaits her next. The princess explains the rules. If she is the first to pass out from the drink, then Zhe wins and gets magical powers. But if the princess wins, the consequences have not yet been announced. One of the companions objects that children like Zhe should never drink. Another interrupts her with irritation, asking her to shut up while the princess maintains an impassive appearance, continuing to watch. The princess, calling the drink peach nectar of the immortals, explains that it is one of her most valuable relics. However, she reassures everyone, adding that there is almost no alcohol in it, inviting them to try it. Chai takes a few sips and a small explosion occurs. Everyone around is shocked by this reaction. Kai-chan loudly exclaims that the drink resembles poison or even gasoline, amazed by its sharpness. The princess laughs loudly, enjoying their reactions and clearly finding the situation extremely funny. The others try to explain the strange taste. Some barely feel the taste, others note the sharpness. A version appears that the perception of the drink depends on the level of magic in the body of each of the participants. Princess Momo calmly replies that everything is correct. Chia has an extremely weak magic vessel, which instantly overflowed. Sia is indignant and reacts sharply to the words pathetic vessel, wondering who exactly Momo called pathetic. Momo, smiling slyly, innocently asks if she lied. Sia, not giving up, energetically drains her portion and demands more. Everyone is amazed by her stamina, and Momo admires the strength of her cravings. After the refill, Sia becomes strangely tense and shakes, but assures everyone that she is fine. At the same time, she notices that her mother's milk was even stronger. Momo laughs out loud, not believing that her drink can be compared to dragon's milk. She is proud that her treasure has now become even more valuable. Someone wonders, is the drink alcoholic or not? Momo, giggling, says that the meaning has changed a little and offers everyone to drink. The group enjoys the evening by the fire. Momo suggests staying on the island a little longer, making the atmosphere even more friendly and homely. Some agree that it was a good balance and a pleasant evening, although C is not happy. Sakura apologizes for the situation. The protagonist is surprised by how different everyone's reactions to the drink are. He can't believe it's drinkable at all. Zeke notes that it just looks like water to him, but his younger sister assures him that it's not that, he just has a very capacious vessel. The interlocutor smiles affectionately and adds that he is her brother. Princess Momo picks up, since he has such a vessel, it means he has special abilities. Princess Momo seriously reports Zeke is special. The power of the gods lives in him, which distinguishes him from ordinary people. Zeke is stunned by this information and asks in confusion how Momo knew about this. The others also look at her in surprise. The princess explains that she easily recognized his peculiarity. He emanates a strong divine aura that is difficult to miss even from a distance. The heroes are confused, trying to understand what smell is being discussed. One of the girls jokingly says that Zeke smells good, hugging him from behind. The other one immediately reacts with irritation, demanding that she not touch him without permission and not take advantage of the situation. The princess clarifies that it's not just Zeke who has a strong aura, but also the Beast Princess. She doubts that they even belong to this world, causing even more surprise. The Beast Princess, in response to doubts, loudly declares that she is fine. She has legs and she is alive. Her friend, however, notices that the conversation is about something else. Momo begins to explain divine power is different from ordinary magic. It is a completely different level. According to her, the problem is much more complex and deep. The princess clarifies, even when he drank the drink, there was no increase in magic in it. This is the proof divine power suppresses and dissolves ordinary magic. Momo admits that the whole party was a kind of test. To gain power, you just had to drink a potion. But the procedure itself turned out to be unexpectedly fun. If everyone knew about the method of obtaining power, many would hunt her. Therefore, she hid the true nature of the potion to avoid danger. Zeke thinks and realizes, all this time he did not receive damage precisely because of his divine essence. Now he understands the reason for his invulnerability. Momo continues, it's not about power per se, it's like if the characters in the book started to act up, what's it to them? She again emphasizes the depth of the problem. Momo warns Zeke that having such great power can lead a person to destruction. She doesn't know how he got it, but she advises him to be careful because the price may be too high. Sia happily reminds Momo that they still have an unfinished competition. Momo suddenly remembers this and Jack goes into silent thought, digesting what was said earlier. Zeke reflects that he himself knew the dangers of power, but hearing it directly was harder. He asks Tefania if she knows anything about destruction, but she denies it. Zeke jokes that everything would be easier if power was used only for good. However, inside he knows that not everything is so clear-cut, although Mint sincerely believes in her brother's good intentions. The protagonist says he'll figure it out when he gets home. Mint confirms that he'll also drop by the library to study. Meanwhile, Kai-chan falls asleep right there. Suddenly, Kai-chan makes a strange face which causes concern among the others. Her condition causes panic and many questions from her friends. Zeke is shocked. Did Kai-chan force herself to drink? She, suffering, explains that she just wanted to have fun like everyone else, considering what was happening unfair. Zeke supports Kai-chan with concern and suggests that they take a walk in the fresh air. He apologizes that no one thought about her well-being during the fun. Kai-chan can't contain her emotions, she's shaking. Zeke holds her shoulders, trying to calm her down, but she's completely confused and almost crying. Soon Kai-chan can't take it anymore, she throws up. Everyone is shocked, Sia is worried, and another girl scolds Kai-chan for what she is doing to her brother. In the castle of the demon Lord Rouge, Jammer is standing and is very nervous about something. He stutters as he reports to his master in the throne room about the operation's new failure. Rouge is disappointed that there is still no result. The demon justifies himself by saying that Lusa's power was not a problem. It was just that Zeke's power was too great for even the super-magical being to handle. The Lord consoles him, mistakes happen, and this time he is forgiven. The main thing is to make an effort next time. The relieved demon thanks him for the mercy, rejoicing at the unexpected forgiveness. But punishment will still follow, at least for appearances, so that subordinates do not think about the weakness of the authorities. The demon lord activates a magical attack with a hand gesture. The demon realizes in horror that he will not leave without consequences. A powerful pulse of magic hits the demon in the chest. He cries out in pain, realizing the severity of the punishment. Rouge lifts Jammer into the air, the old demon muttering words with his last strength as his body begins to crumble under the powerful energy. Rouge watches his torment with a cold heart, holding an open book and showing no remorse. The demon is becoming more and more deteriorated. His face is distorted with suffering, but he tries to say something, asking for mercy. Rouge let go of the old demon and he fell to the ground and did not move. Noticing his condition, she calls his name with slight surprise, watching his final agony. Jammer's dead body with mild surprise, not believing what happened. Could he really have died from such a minor impact? He didn't expect this. Rouge gives a command, shuddering slightly at the silence. His voice is casual, asking for the body to be removed, but no one responds to his orders. Silently watching the events unfold, Rouge registers the fact in her mind. It turns out that Jammer was the last of his servants. All the others close to him had already died earlier. With a soft sigh, Rouge touches the cover of the book. His long claws glide softly across the cover, as if to emphasize the seriousness of his next step. The decision has been made. Rouge rises from her throne and looks at the bleak landscape. It's time to take the stage. The greatest cold villain has finally entered the game.